"There isn't a bedroom," Nathan said. He said it while holding Evelyn's suitcase, smiling as if he had announced a harmless change in dinner plans. Behind him, just inside the front door, Leah stood with a vase of supermarket tulips pressed to her sweater. Evelyn looked past them toward the hallway. "What do you mean there isn't a bedroom? The rooms are all being used now. But we fixed up the den." The sale of Evelyn's house had closed 3 hours earlier. The new owners already had the keys. Her furniture was scattered among a church resale shop, a consignment warehouse, and the homes of people who had said, "Are you sure?" as they carried away pieces of her marriage. Nathan lifted the suitcase a little. "Come see. It's actually pretty cozy." Later, Evelyn would remember the word actually. She would remember the cheerful force he put behind it, as if coziness were a fact he could establish before she saw the room. She would remember following her son down the hall and knowing, before he opened the door, that whatever waited on the other side would be too small for the promise that had brought her there. The den had once been where Nathan watched football and complained about teams he had never played for. Now, a narrow sofa bed filled most of it. One corner touched the wall. The other nearly blocked the folding doors to the laundry closet. Leah had placed a new pillow on the bed and folded a yellow throw across the foot. There was a nightstand made from a wooden TV tray. On it sat a small lamp, a box of tissues, and a framed photograph of Frank holding a striped bass with the delighted expression of a man who had personally invented fishing. "We're going to get a screen," Nathan said, "for privacy." Evelyn set her purse on the sofa bed. The mattress gave a metallic sigh. A screen from what? Nathan glanced at the laundry doors. "Just, if we have to run a load." Leah tightened her grip on the tulips. "We can keep laundry to certain hours." "You don't have to schedule your underwear around me," Evelyn said. Nathan laughed, relieved by the hint of humor. "See? We'll make it work." Evelyn looked at the photograph. Frank had been dead 14 months, and still she sometimes expected him to rescue a conversation by saying something improper. He would have studied the narrow bed, opened the laundry closet, and asked whether the Maytag came with breakfast. Instead, there was only the soft hum of the house and Nathan waiting for her approval. "What happened to the guest room?" she asked. "Leah's using it for work now." "I told him I could move some things," Leah said quickly. "No, you need the room," Nathan told her. Then, to Evelyn, "She's got orders stacked everywhere. You wouldn't believe it. Leah restored old lampshades and sold them online." The business had begun at the dining table and migrated into bins, shelves, and finally an entire bedroom. Evelyn had praised every stage of its growth. "And the other room?" she asked. "My office. Which is also kind of the shipping room now. And the treadmill's in there, but that folds." It had been the same arrangement for months. Evelyn knew that because Nathan had sent photographs whenever he reorganized, usually with captions claiming he had finally cracked the code. He had invited her to move in anyway. He carried her suitcase to the wall and wedged it between the TV tray and a basket of clean towels. "It's temporary, Mom. That was always the idea, right? Until you figure out what you want. Until you figure out what you want." She had heard him say it at Frank's funeral, in her kitchen on Christmas Eve, and over the phone the night a storm knocked a limb onto her garage. He had said, "Come stay with us. You shouldn't be alone in that house. Sell it while the market's good. We've got plenty of room." Evelyn touched the yellow throw. It was soft and completely unfamiliar. "Yes," she said. "Temporary." Nathan bent and kissed her cheek. He smelled like coffee and the rosemary soap Leah bought in square green bars. "Good. Great. We're glad you're here." Leah put the tulips on top of the washing machine because there was nowhere else to set them. They ordered Chinese food that evening. Nathan opened a bottle of wine and made a toast to new chapters, which made Leah stare into her glass. Evelyn ate half an egg roll and listened while Nathan described a problem with the groceries' online orders. Someone had entered the wrong prices for 3 kinds of cheese, and customers had bought expensive goat cheese for less than the store paid. "It wasn't me this time," he said. "Before you ask, I wasn't going to ask. You had the face." "What face?" "The invoice face." Leah smiled faintly. "You do have an invoice face, Evelyn." It was an old family joke. Evelyn's father used to say she could find a 6-cent error by glaring at a ledger until it confessed. Nathan had inherited the dramatic impatience of men who preferred errors to confess on their own. Normally, she would have asked to see the pricing sheet. Instead, she dipped her egg roll in mustard. Nathan waited. "I can bring the laptop out. Tomorrow, sure. Of course. He drank some wine. Tomorrow's fine. After dinner, Evelyn unpacked enough to sleep. Her clothes remained in the suitcase because there was no dresser. She placed Frank's watch and letters, still inside the cedar box, beneath the TV tray. The box did not quite fit. One corner stuck out where someone could kick it. She moved it under the sofa bed. At 10:30, Leah knocked softly on the open door. I brought hangers. She held 6 of them, 3 plastic and 3 wire. Thank you, Evelyn said. There's room in the coat closet. Not much, but I can move the vacuum. Evelyn took the hangers. Leah stayed in the doorway. I thought Nathan had talked to you about the rooms. He talked about a room. Leah's eyes dropped to the laundry basket. I asked him what the plan was. And? He said you didn't care about that kind of thing. Evelyn ran her thumb over a sharp ridge in one of the plastic hangers. What kind of thing? Leah gave a miserable little shrug. Space, privacy, having everything a certain way. Those are 3 different things. I know. From the kitchen, Nathan called. Did Mom get the hangers? Leah closed her eyes for half a second. Yes. Great. Thanks, hun. Neither woman answered him. Leah stepped into the room and lowered her voice. You can have my workroom. I mean it. It'll take me a couple days to clear it, but I can work downstairs. Evelyn could picture the room. Shelves mounted by Nathan, rolls of silk and linen organized by color, Leah's long table positioned beneath the window. Moving it would turn Evelyn into the storm that passed through and displaced everything in its path. Then everyone would spend months telling her not to feel bad. No, she said. You shouldn't lose your room because your husband invited me without counting. A surprised sound escaped Leah, almost a laugh. She covered it with a cough. Nathan appeared at the end of the hall. Everything okay? Perfect, Evelyn said. Nathan leaned against the doorframe. I forgot to mention I put a coffee maker in the pantry for you, so you don't have to deal with my complicated machine. I know how to make coffee. I know. That's why I gave you the normal one. He looked so pleased with himself that Evelyn saw him at 8 years old, presenting her with toast he had burned black and scraped over the sink. The memory arrived without permission and made tenderness rise alongside her anger. That was the difficulty with Nathan. He could be thoughtless and dear in the same breath. Thank you, she said. Satisfied, he went to bed. At 11:40, the washing machine started. Evelyn opened her eyes in the dark. Water rushed behind the folding doors, followed by a series of clicks and a low mechanical churn. Through the wall came the muffled rhythm of Nathan and Leah arguing. You said it would be fine, Leah whispered. It is fine. She is not fine. She's tired. Today was a lot. You should have cleared the office and put the store equipment where? I don't know, Nathan. At the store? There's no room at the store. That's the entire problem. The washer gathered speed. Something with a zipper struck the metal drum again and again. Evelyn lay beneath the yellow throw, staring at the thin bar of hallway light under the door. She had spent the last 6 months emptying her home. Every object had required a decision. Keep Frank's tackle box or give it to Luis Calderon, who would use it. Save 12 place settings when she could not remember the last time 12 people had eaten at her table. Take the blue chair with the worn arms, knowing it would cost more to reupholster than replace. Nathan had visited twice during the sorting. Both times he had left with groceries she packed for him and boxes he wanted stored above the market. He had watched her dismantle a life room by room. Not once had he gone home and made a room for her. The washing machine entered its spin cycle and shook the framed fishing photograph against the wall. In the morning, Evelyn woke with a ridge across her cheek from the new pillow. Her back objected when she sat up. The house smelled of coffee, and for one hopeful second, she did not know where she was. Then, a dryer sheet clung to her bare foot. She dressed in yesterday's slacks and found Nathan at the kitchen island, tapping at his phone. Leah had already left to deliver 2 restored shades to a customer. A mug waited for Evelyn beside the normal coffee maker. Sleep okay? Nathan asked, like a sock in a dryer. He looked up, decided she was joking, and grinned. You'll get used to the machine. White noise. Your father snored for 42 years. I don't need training in white noise. Nathan pushed a plate toward her. He had toasted an English muffin and spread peanut butter to the very edges, the way she liked it. Rosa called out, he said. Migraine. I hate to ask on your first day, but can you cover lunch? Just 11 to 2. I've got a vendor coming, and Mark can't run register and receive produce. Evelyn looked at the muffin. Only if you're up for it, he added, obviously. The old answer was already waiting in her mouth. Of course. She had said it when Nathan needed someone to drive him to physical therapy after his ankle surgery. She had said it when the market's accountant quit during tax season, and when the old refrigerator began leaking rusty water across the dairy aisle. 3 weeks earlier, she had written a check for the new refrigeration unit because Nathan's financing had fallen through. He had stood in her nearly empty kitchen and promised to pay back every cent. She had told him family did not charge interest. "What time is the vendor coming?" she asked. 11:30. "I'll be there." Nathan crossed the kitchen and kissed the top of her head. "You're saving me." The grocery was a 12-minute drive away. Evelyn took her own car, one of the few things she had not surrendered. Mercer's Grocery occupied the corner of Laurel and Mason, its faded green awning washed pale at the edges. Her father's name remained painted on the front window in gold script, though Nathan had modernized everything beneath it with baskets of artisan bread and chalkboards naming local farms. Evelyn entered through the alley because that was how family entered. Inside, Mark was arguing with the produce scale. Nathan disappeared into the stockroom with barely a wave. Evelyn tied on an apron, signed into the register, and spent 2 hours weighing apples, finding cigarettes for an elderly customer who distrusted the new display, and explaining that the goat cheese price had indeed been a mistake. At 1:15, Nathan called from the back, "Mom, do you know where the spare receipt paper is?" "Upstairs," she called. "Can you grab it?" She looked at the 4 customers in line. Mark came hurrying from produce. "I've got the register, Mrs. Mercer." Evelyn removed her apron and went through the stockroom to the narrow staircase. Nathan's cartons crowded the steps. She climbed sideways, one hand on the rail, passing cases of bottled tea and paper bags. At the top, she unlocked the apartment that had been hers all along. The front room was buried beneath Nathan's business. Shipping labels curled from a folding table. Shelves covered the wall where her father's radio had once sat. Beyond them, sunlight fell through dusty windows onto the old oak floor. Evelyn stood still. Then she walked past the receipt paper, through the crowded kitchen, and opened the bedroom door. Boxes filled the room almost to the ceiling, but there was space near the window, just enough space for a bed. Evelyn pushed aside a carton marked "Holiday Gift Baskets" and reached the window. The latch resisted, swollen with paint, but it finally gave with a sound like a branch snapping. Warm air moved through the room, carrying exhaust from the alley and the yeasty smell of bread from the bakery 2 doors down. Below her, a delivery man rolled a hand truck toward the grocery's back entrance. Someone had left 2 empty milk crates beside the dumpster. The view had never been pretty, but she knew every angle of it. Her father used to stand at this window in his undershirt, drinking coffee before he went downstairs to open the store. Evelyn turned. The boxes changed the size of the room, but they could not change its shape. A double bed would fit against the inner wall. A narrow dresser could go beneath the window. The closet door was blocked by cases of imported crackers. Nathan shouted from below, "Did you find it?" She had forgotten the receipt paper. In a minute. The bedroom ceiling showed a brown stain near the corner. Evelyn reached up, though it was far above her hand, and studied the ragged edge. Old water stains dried pale at the perimeter. This one was darker in the center. She went into the hall. The bathroom door stuck halfway, trapped by a carton of reusable shopping bags. She squeezed through and found the sink furred with dust, a rust line in the toilet bowl, and a dead spider curled in the tub. Nathan had stacked rolls of register tape in the linen closet beside cleaning supplies and spare price tags. She took 4 rolls. On her way downstairs, one of the cartons shifted under her elbow. She caught it with her hip, wrenching her knee, and stood gripping the rail until the pain settled into something manageable. Nathan waited at the bottom. What took so long? I had to find the linen closet. We should put a shelf at the top of the stairs. There are already shelves upstairs. Full shelves. That's generally what happens when you fill them. He took the receipt paper and hurried toward the front. Evelyn remained on the last step, looking back at the cartons. A white label on one box said Nathan Office Cables. Another said Fall Display. A third said Don't Throw Out, as if the building itself might otherwise make a decision. At 2, Nathan asked if she could stay until 3. At 3, "Will you ask me to stay until 4? He glanced at the clock. Probably not. That wasn't an answer. His mouth tightened. Then he gave her the smile he used on customers who wanted refunds without receipts. Mark's brake got pushed. "I'll stay until 3. Thank you. At 3, I'm leaving." She did. The clean finality of it surprised them both. Back at Nathan's house, the den smelled strongly of drier sheets. Someone had folded the sofa bed and stacked her pillow and yellow throw on top. Her suitcase stood upright beside the television. For a moment, Evelyn thought the cedar box was gone. She crouched too quickly, felt her knee object, and found it pushed deep beneath the sofa. She drew it out and ran her palm over the lid. No damage. Frank's letters were still tied with the green ribbon she had used when packing. His watch lay in its velvet case, stopped at 6:17 because Evelyn had never learned how to wind it properly, and Frank had always insisted she was doing it too fast. She put the box in her suitcase and closed the zipper. The tulips had migrated to the kitchen island. Leah sat beside them with a curved lampshade frame in her lap, stitching ivory fabric along the wire. "You're back," she said. "I escaped at 3. Did he ask you to stay?" "Until 3. Leah bit a thread and tied it off. "You're learning. I've always known how to leave a grocery store, not when Nathan was in it." There was no accusation in Leah's voice. That made the observation harder to brush aside. Evelyn opened the refrigerator. "Did you eat?" "I had yogurt." "That's not eating. It is if you put granola in it." Evelyn found eggs, half an onion, and a container of cooked potatoes. She placed them on the counter, then stopped. She had not been asked to make dinner. She was not in her own kitchen. The skillet she wanted might be in a cabinet Leah organized differently, and the onions might be intended for something else. Leah watched her. "You can cook, Evelyn. I know I can cook." "I meant you don't have to ask." "I didn't ask." "No?" You froze. Evelyn closed the refrigerator. "I was thinking about the eggs, about an apartment." Leah set down the lampshade frame. "The one above the store," Evelyn said. A pause opened between them. Not confusion, recognition. "You could live there," Leah said. "I did live there. Briefly when I was 22 and convinced I needed independence. My father charged me rent and came upstairs every morning to ask if I wanted breakfast. That sounds like very supervised independence. He deducted the breakfast from my rent." Leah laughed. It changed her face, made her look less careful. Then the laugh faded. "Nathan uses all of it, I noticed. He thinks he has to. Nathan has thought he had to do every single thing he wanted since he was 11. Leah picked up her needle, but did not sew. "The online orders are what kept the store going 2 winters ago." "I know. If he loses the packing space, he'll panic. I know that too." "You're serious." Evelyn looked toward the hallway, at the den door, and the thin slice of folded yellow blanket visible through it. "I'm thinking," she said again. She made the eggs after all. Leah showed her where the skillet was and chopped the onion while Evelyn crisped the potatoes. They ate at the island before Nathan came home. When he arrived at 6:30, tired and smelling of cardboard, he looked at the empty skillet. "You didn't save me any?" "There are eggs," Evelyn said. "Were eggs not involved in the first batch?" "They were, but those eggs have fulfilled their purpose." Nathan stared at her, then opened the refrigerator. "I'm ordering a pizza." Leah slid off her stool. "I'll make you something." "No, it's fine." He said fine, as if it had been served to him cold. Evelyn carried her plate to the sink. "How long has the stain been on the upstairs bedroom ceiling?" Nathan stopped with the refrigerator door open. "What stain?" "The water stain." "I don't know. That roof had a leak a few years ago." "Was it repaired?" "Yes." "By whom?" "Mom, I don't remember. The roofer Dad used, maybe." Frank stopped using that roofer after he flashed the chimney backward. Nathan shut the refrigerator. Then it was someone else. Leah looked between them. "Is it leaking now?" "I don't know," Evelyn said. "There were boxes under it." Nathan rubbed his forehead. "I'll look tomorrow. I can look. You don't need to be climbing around up there. I climbed around up there today because you sent me for receipt paper. That's different." Evelyn waited for him to hear it. He did not. After Nathan went upstairs to change, Leah quietly divided the leftover potatoes onto a plate and covered them with foil. That night, no one used the washing machine. Evelyn lay awake anyway. She considered the apartment as a sequence of tasks: clear the rooms, inspect the roof, restore water and gas service, check the outlets, repair the floors, paint, move what remained of her belongings out of the consignment warehouse before storage fees began next month. Thinking in tasks calmed her. Tasks had edges. They could be priced and scheduled. Grief could not. By morning, she had written a list on the back of an envelope from her purse. She folded it twice and tucked it beneath her phone. Nathan left early without mentioning the ceiling. Leah worked in her room with music playing softly. Evelyn drank coffee, waited until her knee loosened, and drove back to the grocery. Mark was sweeping the sidewalk. "You're not scheduled," he said as she approached. "I'm aware." His broom paused. Mark was 43, thin as a wire hanger, and had worked for the family long enough to know that unscheduled Mercers usually meant trouble. "Is Nathan here?" "Bank. Good." Mark lowered his voice. "Is that good? Do you know where he keeps the upstairs keys?" "You have keys." "I know. I'm testing you." He grinned cautiously. Then I passed. Upstairs, Evelyn opened curtains that had been tied back with rubber bands. Dust rose in the light. She moved smaller boxes away from the bedroom wall, reading each label before she touched it. Most contained grocery supplies. Some held Nathan's personal things: college notebooks, a broken desk lamp, 3 framed certificates from business seminars. He had turned her apartment into the place where decisions did not have to be made. She found an old broom in the pantry and cleared a path from the stairs to the windows. After 20 minutes, her back began to ache. After 30, her knee sent a bright warning up her thigh. Evelyn stopped, annoyed at the body for reporting facts she had not requested. A knock sounded on the open door. Luis Calderon stood at the top of the stairs, carrying a red metal toolbox. He was broad through the shoulders, with silver in his mustache and reading glasses hanging from a cord around his neck. Mark said a dangerous woman was up here moving boxes alone. Mark exaggerates. He said it was you. Evelyn leaned on the broom. That does not prove danger. Luis had delivered groceries for her father when he was 19 and spent most of the money on a motorcycle that broke down before winter. Now he maintained 4 apartment buildings and complained that every landlord believed paint could repair plumbing. He lifted the toolbox. "Nathan called last week about the stockroom sink. I came when I had a chance." "What are you doing?" "Looking at dust, at the apartment." Luis studied the cleared path. "Looking usually leaves fewer marks on the floor. What do you know about the roof leak?" "Which one?" Her stomach sank. Luis walked into the bedroom and looked up at the stain. He put on his glasses, pressed 2 fingers to the plaster, then examined them. "Not wet," he said. "Not today." "Was it repaired?" Frank had the rear flashing done maybe 6 years ago. "This could be from before that. Could be newer. Roof needs eyes on it." "Can you put eyes on it?" "Not mine. I don't bounce anymore. Neither do I." He gave her a sidelong look. "Why do you care now?" Evelyn rested both hands on the broom handle. "I might move back in." Luis did not laugh or ask whether Nathan approved. He looked around the room, mentally removing the boxes. "Plumbing first," he said, then electric. "Floors after the leak question. You'll need a better rail on those stairs." "So, it's possible." "Everything's possible if you don't ask what it costs." "I'm asking what it costs." "That makes it less possible." Evelyn smiled despite herself. "Can you give me an honest list? I only make dishonest lists for people I don't like." He took a small flashlight from his toolbox and began examining the wall below the stain. Nathan found them 40 minutes later. He stood in the bedroom doorway, breathing hard from the stairs. "What's going on?" Louis clicked off the flashlight. "Your mother wants an honest list." Nathan looked at the shifted boxes, the open window, and the path Evelyn had swept through the front room. A list for what? Evelyn set the broom against the wall, for making the apartment livable again. Nathan's eyes returned to her face. The alarm in them came so quickly it was almost innocent. "Why?" "Because I'm considering living in it." He laughed once, but neither Evelyn nor Luis joined him. "Mom, no. You can't live up here." Evelyn glanced around at the blocked closet, the dusty floor, the ceiling stain. "Not like this," she said. "That's why I'm making a list." Nathan stepped around Luis's toolbox as if it had been placed there to provoke him. "You just sold a perfectly good house." "Yes." "To move in with us, to live with you." "I didn't understand that meant sleeping beside your fabric softener." "This is because of the laundry?" Luis put his glasses back on their cord. "I'm going to look at the stockroom sink." Nathan blocked half the doorway. "You don't have to leave. I very much do." Luis squeezed past him, pausing beside Evelyn. "I'll call about the roof." "Thank you." When his footsteps had faded down the stairs, Nathan closed the bedroom door. It bounced against a carton and swung open again. "Why did you bring him into this?" "I didn't bring him anywhere. He came to repair your sink. You asked him to inspect the apartment. I asked him to look at a stain. Same thing. No, Nathan, one is an apartment, the other is a stain. He dragged both hands through his hair. The gesture left it standing up in front, making him look briefly like the boy who used to insist he had not broken things while holding pieces of them. You can't live above a grocery store at 70. Your grandfather did. He was 54 when he moved out. He was 82 when he stopped working downstairs. And his knees were destroyed. My knees are my concern. The stairs are narrow. The neighborhood gets noisy. There are delivery trucks at 6 in the morning. I remember the trucks. You remember 30 years ago. I was here yesterday. Nathan pointed at the boxes. And where does all this go? There it was. Not her safety, not the noise, not even the stairs. The first solid objection was the inconvenience of her occupying her own rooms. I don't know, she said. You know there's no space downstairs. Then perhaps you should rent space. With what money? The business's. The business does not have extra money. You know that better than anybody. Evelyn did. She knew the weekly payroll down to the dollar, knew which distributors allowed Nathan 15 extra days, and which one charged a fee after midnight. She knew he took less from the grocery than he had earned at his old job, and that Leah's lampshades sometimes covered their mortgage when winter sales were poor. None of it changed the dimensions of the den. How long did you expect me to sleep on that sofa? She asked. Nathan's shoulders dropped. We said temporary. What does temporary mean? Until you decide what you want. What if I want a bedroom? We can clear Leah's workroom. Has Leah agreed to that? She offered, after I arrived. You're making this sound like we put you in the garage. The garage has a door. The den has a door. The laundry has the same door. Nathan turned away and paced 3 steps, which was all the boxes allowed. I asked you to come live with us because I didn't want you alone. Did you ask because you wanted me there, or because you didn't want to feel guilty about me being somewhere else? He stopped. The question struck harder than she intended. For a moment, she wanted to take it back. Nathan had called every night after Frank died. He had changed the furnace filter without being asked, and shoveled her driveway before going to open the store. His care was real. So was the fact that he had offered it in ways that required no rearrangement of himself. That's not fair, he said. No, it isn't. He stared at her, uncertain which of them she meant. Mark called from downstairs that the produce delivery had arrived. Nathan opened the door, this time shoving the carton aside with his shoe. Don't move anything else, he said. I moved enough to reach the window. These boxes are organized. Then it should be easy for you to remove them. Nathan's face hardened. I have to work. So do I, apparently. She regretted that one as soon as she said it. Nathan's mouth pressed into a narrow line. He went downstairs without answering. Evelyn stayed until she heard him giving instructions to the driver. Then she locked the apartment and slipped the key into her purse. She drove to the small storage facility where the last pieces of her house waited to be sold. The attendant, a man named Dale, who wore a fleece vest despite the warm day, led her past rows of furniture tagged with numbers. Her mother's kitchen table stood near the back, its leaves lowered, with a lamp and 2 frame prints stacked on top. The table had begun in the apartment above the grocery. Evelyn's father had bought it used during his first year in business. The surface bore a white crescent where her mother had set down a hot casserole and several shallow cuts from Evelyn rolling pie dough with a chipped glass bottle. The consignment shop had valued it at $80. Any interest? Evelyn asked. Dale consulted his clipboard. A couple looked, but they wanted chairs. The chairs didn't match. People like matching now. They never matched. That's probably why people like it. Evelyn ran her fingers over the white crescent. Frank had wanted to sand it out once. Her mother refused. She said a table ought to confess where it had been. I'm withdrawing it. Dale blinked. From consignment? Yes. There's a handling fee. Of course there is. And if we've already moved it to the floor. How much? $25. Evelyn paid him. She arranged for the table to remain in storage for another month, and left with a yellow withdrawal slip folded in her wallet. It was a small decision, almost silly, yet walking to her car, she felt the first clean lift in her chest since she had handed over the keys to her house. At Nathan's, a long cardboard box leaned against the den wall. Leah emerged from her workroom with pins between her lips. She removed them one at a time and stuck them into a cushion on her wrist. He bought you something. What? I'm not supposed to know. The outside of the box has a picture. Printed across it was Deluxe 6-panel privacy divider. The photograph showed a smiling woman reading peacefully behind a canvas screen. There was no washing machine in sight. When did he bring this? 10 minutes ago? He went back for the evening delivery. Evelyn rested her hand on the box. He told me you were moving above the store, Leah said. I said I was considering it. He heard moving. He generally skips the middle of sentences. Leah sat on the arm of the folded sofa. He thinks you're punishing him. By living in my apartment, by taking away his workspace. He believes anything he uses becomes part of his body. That is a fairly accurate description of Nathan. Evelyn looked at her. You can make jokes about him. I can't. I didn't say that. You looked like you were about to. Leah removed a loose thread from her sleeve. I'm trying not to be the woman who agrees with whichever Mercer is currently in the room. That must be tiring. You have no idea. Evelyn sat beside her. The sofa creaked beneath them. For a while, neither spoke. Somewhere outside, a lawnmower coughed and stopped. I did tell him, Leah said at last, before you sold the house. I said we needed to decide where you'd sleep. What did he say? That you wouldn't come right away. He knew the closing date. I know. What else? He said the den would be fine because you get up early. He said you'd probably spend most of your time at the store anyway. Evelyn turned toward her, Leah's eyes filled with immediate regret. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have repeated that. No, you should have repeated it sooner. He didn't mean he expected you to work every day. Then what did he mean? I don't know. Evelyn did. Nathan had imagined her future in fragments convenient to him. Coffee before dawn, a few hours at the register, dinner appearing at night. She would be safe in his house, useful at his store, and grateful for the arrangement. He had not imagined where she would close a door or keep Frank's letters. Those were details, and Evelyn had spent decades taking care of details. She unfolded the envelope from her purse and smoothed it on her knee. On the back, she had listed the apartment repairs. Beneath them, she had begun estimating costs. Leah read upside down. That's not just thinking, it's thinking with numbers. You always were dangerous with numbers, so your husband tells me. Can you afford it? I can afford some of it. I don't know yet whether I can afford enough. The house sale had left Evelyn comfortable, not rich. Frank's final year had eaten through savings faster than either of them admitted. The new grocery refrigerator had taken $18,600. Taxes and insurance on the building continued whether the apartment earned money or stored Nathan's broken lamps. She wrote stair rail beneath plumbing. Leah pointed to the list. What about the bathtub? What about it? You'd have to climb into it? Evelyn pictured the dead spider. Walk-in shower. Those are expensive. So is falling. Leah nodded. I could help you choose tile. The offer was so ordinary that Evelyn had to look away. That evening, Nathan opened the privacy screen box before he removed his jacket. He spread the instructions on the kitchen island, then carried the pieces into the den. This'll make a huge difference, he said. The wooden frame came in sections joined by small brass hinges. He assembled it backward once, swore, took it apart, and tried again. Leah held one panel steady. Evelyn sat on the sofa bed with her suitcase at her feet. When Nathan finished, the divider stretched from the laundry closet to the wall. It concealed the bed, but also blocked most of the doorway. There, he said. Try it. Try what? See how it feels. Evelyn stood behind the canvas panels. Nathan's shoes remained visible beneath them. So did her own feet. Private, he said. The screen smelled of fresh glue. Evelyn imagined undressing behind it, while Nathan searched for a clean shirt 3 feet away. She imagined waking each morning, folding her bed, shifting her suitcase, and making herself disappear so the room could resume its proper function. How long do you think I should live like this? She asked. Nathan's satisfaction faded. We talked about this. No, you talked around it. Why does everything have to be decided tonight? Because you decided it months ago without me. He looked toward Leah, but she remained beside the laundry doors. Evelyn stepped out from behind the screen. I'll stay here for 30 days, she said. That gives you time to move your things out of the apartment. Nathan went very still. All of it? He asked. All of it. You're serious? Yes. He looked at the divider he had spent 40 minutes assembling. Then he said quietly, You're taking the store away from me. Evelyn shook her head. I'm asking for the rooms above it. To you, maybe that's different. It needs to become different to you. Nathan folded the instruction sheet once, then again, making each crease with his thumbnail. 30 days isn't enough. It's what I have. He left the folded paper on the TV tray beside Frank's photograph and walked out. A moment later, the front door closed hard enough to tremble through the frame. The privacy screen swayed between Evelyn and the washing machine, then slowly settled. Leah reached out and steadied one of the panels. "He slams doors when he's ashamed," she said. That sounded more like anger. With Nathan, shame wears work boots. Evelyn sat again. She wanted to call her son, which annoyed her. Nathan could walk out of a room and make the people left behind responsible for closing the distance. Leah folded the discarded cardboard around the divider's foam packing. "He'll go to the store. Of course he will. He says he can think there. He can be right there without anyone interrupting." Leah gave her a warning glance, not angry, but tired. "He's frightened. So am I." The admission surprised Evelyn more than it did Leah. She had been avoiding the word because fear sounded helpless, and Evelyn did not feel helpless. She had money enough to make choices, a car, a building, a body that still carried her where she needed to go. Yet the floor beneath her life had shifted. For 42 years, home had meant Frank's shoes beside the back door and his half-finished crossword on the table. Then it had meant rooms she was slowly emptying. Now it meant a suitcase wedged beside a television and a screen purchased to conceal her. Leah sat on the sofa arm. "Do you want me to call him? No. Do you want tea? No. Do you want me to stop asking what you want? Not permanently." Leah smiled. "I can work with that." Nathan returned after midnight. Evelyn heard his key, the refrigerator door, then the low murmur of Leah's voice in the kitchen. She could not make out the words. Nathan answered once sharply, and a cabinet closed harder than necessary. No one touched the laundry. In the morning, he was dressed for work before Evelyn entered the kitchen. He had made coffee and left the English muffins on the counter. "I found another option," he said. Evelyn poured her coffee. "Good morning." "Good morning. There's a contractor who can put a wall across part of the den. We could make it a real room." "With a door?" "Yes, and a closet." "We could add one." "What happens to the laundry? We'd access it from the hallway. You'd spend thousands of dollars rebuilding your house rather than move boxes out of my apartment." Nathan pulled his keys from the counter. "I'm trying to give you what you asked for. I asked for 30 days. You asked for a bedroom. Before I sold my house." His jaw shifted. "People solve problems when they know there's a problem. You knew where I was going to sleep. I thought the den was fine. And now you know it isn't. That's why I'm offering the wall." Evelyn stirred her coffee, although she had not added anything. "No." Nathan stared at her. "You haven't even seen a price. I don't want a room constructed around me as an emergency." "What does that mean?" "It means I want my own front door. You'd rather live alone over a store than with us in a proper room." "I would rather not have to explain why a 70-year-old woman wants to choose when people enter her bedroom." He looked wounded, then covered it with impatience. "Fine. Make your list. Get your prices. Maybe when you see what that place needs, you'll be reasonable." He left his coffee untouched. At 10, Evelyn met Luis upstairs. He brought a canvas tool bag, a voltage tester, and his sister June, who had driven him because his truck was having its brakes replaced. June Calderon was 64, with silver curls cropped close to her head and red eyeglasses that made no attempt to disappear. She stood in the kitchen doorway and surveyed the boxes. "So, this is where grocery supplies go to die." Luis knelt beneath the sink. "You were supposed to drop me off. And miss this?" Evelyn remembered June as a quiet young woman who had left the neighborhood for nursing school. Quiet had apparently been temporary. "I'm not sure there's anything to see yet," Evelyn said. "There never is at the beginning." June rubbed a clean circle into the dust on the counter. Then somebody picks a paint color, and suddenly everyone has opinions. Luis turned the kitchen tap. The pipes banged inside the wall. A burst of brown water spat into the sink, followed by an uneven stream. June stepped back. "Charming." "It's been off a long time," Luis said. "Let it run." He moved through the apartment slowly, testing outlets and opening access panels. Evelyn followed with her envelope and wrote down each item he called out. 2 kitchen outlets needed replacement. The bathroom fan was dead. The toilet valve leaked when opened. The living room radiator warmed only halfway. "Not terrible," Luis said. "You say that because you're not paying," Evelyn replied. "I say it because I've seen terrible." He pressed the toe of his boot against the warped floorboards near the exterior wall. "This needs opening. How much?" I don't price what I can't see. Give me a range. Luis named one. June whistled. Luis named another. June stopped whistling. Evelyn wrote both figures. Her handwriting stayed neat, though her stomach tightened. And the bathroom. You don't need to do everything before moving in, Luis said. Make it safe, make the plumbing work. Live with ugly until you can afford pretty. I can live with ugly. June leaned toward her. Everyone says that before they meet ugly at 6 in the morning. The bathtub needs to go. Luis looked at the old porcelain tub. That's not ugly, that's heavy. They spent 2 hours measuring and testing. By the time they reached the stairs, Evelyn's knee felt packed with hot sand. June noticed. Which one? Which what? Knee. Right. Replacement? Not yet. Doctor? Not recently. June gave her the professional look of someone who had retired from nursing, but not from noticing evasions. Those stairs need a second rail before you start carrying anything. I'm not carrying boxes. Luis snorted. I moved 3. You moved 8, he said. June lifted Evelyn's envelope from her hand before she could protest. All right. You go down first. Evelyn wanted to refuse. Then she pictured herself falling in front of both of them and having to endure their expressions. She gripped the rail and descended carefully. At the bottom, Mark stood behind the stockroom desk, entering invoices. 2 customers waited near the register, while Nathan argued on the phone with a bread supplier. Mrs. Pasternak, who had purchased the same brand of rye bread since Evelyn was 20, spotted her. There you are, she said. That young man charged me twice for onions. Mark looked stricken. I fixed it, Mrs. Pasternak. After I found her in produce checking every onion, as if one might confess, Nathan said, covering the phone. Mrs. Pasternak waved her receipt at Evelyn. You should be at the register. I'm not working today. You're standing in a grocery store. I've done that for free long enough. The words came out louder than she intended. Nathan stopped talking. Mark looked down at the invoice. Luis became fascinated by his tool bag. Only June appeared entertained. Mrs. Pasternak considered Evelyn, then nodded. Good. She tucked the receipt into her purse and left. Nathan finished his call and clipped sentences. When he hung up, he pointed toward the stairs. Can we talk? We are talking. Privately. They went into the narrow office behind the stockroom. The desk barely allowed the door to close. Nathan held up his phone. I've been calling storage places. Do you know what they charge? Yes. How? You sent me a spreadsheet at 6:40 this morning. I sent it so you'd understand. I called the 3rd place. His expression changed. Why? Because it was clean, heated, and 18 minutes away. 18 minutes each direction. Every time we need bags or labels or a display item, somebody loses 40 minutes. Then keep the things you use every day downstairs. Where? Move the desk out of this room. And work where? The folding table in the stockroom. Mom? What? You can't rearrange a business like a kitchen drawer. I rearranged this business for 15 years before you took it over. That was a different store. We didn't have online orders. We didn't do gift baskets. We didn't have 6 local vendors delivering on different schedules. No, we had cigarette representatives, check cashing, handwritten inventory, and your grandfather ordering canned peaches as if the country were expecting war. Every version had problems. Nathan lowered his voice. You're enjoying this. Evelyn stared at him. You're enjoying proving that I need you, he said. That's what this is. She could have answered with the refrigerator check, the free upstairs space, or the shifts she had covered. Each fact stood ready like a plate she might throw. Instead, she said, I don't want you to need me. That's not true. I want you to want me around when I'm not fixing anything. Nathan looked away first. Through the office wall came the beeping of the produce scale and Mark apologizing to someone. The apartment was empty, Nathan said. You told me to use it. I did. You said the store came first. It did then. So I built a system around that space. I made decisions based on it. And I made decisions based on your invitation. His face closed. Evelyn opened the office door. I'm not taking the grocery from you. I'm not changing the ground floor rent this month. I'm asking you to clear the rooms upstairs. This month? You have 29 days now. He let out a humorless breath. Nice. Days do that. Luis waited in the alley with June. He had written a roofer's name on the bottom of Evelyn's envelope and added, in block letters, second rail first. June handed it over. He underlined it twice because he thinks women listen to underlining. Women don't listen to him at all, Louise said. That's why he owns tools. Evelyn laughed, and the sound felt disloyal so soon after the argument. Then she decided she was allowed. Before they left, June gave Evelyn her phone number. For tile? Evelyn asked. For when my brother gives you a price and you need someone to explain which parts are nonsense. Luis unlocked the passenger door. Call somebody else. I don't know somebody else. You know everybody. I don't like everybody. They drove away bickering. Evelyn sat in her car and studied the repair list. The high estimate for the floor would consume more than she wanted. The bathroom would have to wait. Paint could wait. New kitchen cabinets were impossible and unnecessary. Her phone buzzed with a message from Leah. Nathan says I'm moving my workroom downstairs so you can have that bedroom. He didn't ask me. Please don't agree. Evelyn read it twice. When she returned to the house, Nathan's office chair was in the hallway, and 3 of Leah's fabric bins had been carried to the dining room. Nathan stood in the guest room doorway holding an armful of lampshade frames. I started clearing it, he said. Leah stood behind him, pale with anger. Evelyn took the frames from Nathan and put them back on the shelf. I told you no. I'm solving the problem. You're moving it on to Leah. She offered you this room. She has changed her mind. Nathan looked at his wife. Have you? Leah swallowed. Yes. The word hung there, small and irreversible. Nathan's eyes moved from Leah to Evelyn. So, the 2 of you decided this together? No, Evelyn said. We each decided we needed a room you don't get to take from us. For once, Nathan had no answer ready. Evelyn carried the fabric bins back herself, one at a time, ignoring the heat in her knee. On the final trip, Leah followed and silently placed her hand beneath the bin, taking half the weight. Nathan watched them restore Leah's workroom until the shelves looked exactly as they had before he began. I was trying to help, he said. Leah adjusted a roll of linen that did not need adjusting. You were trying to win. There shouldn't be sides, then stop assigning them. He looked at Evelyn. Are you going to say anything? I've said quite a lot today. That hasn't stopped you before. Evelyn's temper rose, quick and familiar. Would you like me to thank you for offering me a room after your wife surrendered it under pressure? I didn't pressure her. Leah laughed once. Nathan's face reddened. He set his hands on his hips, then seemed to realize he was standing in the center of Leah's room, as if he owned the air. He stepped into the hallway. Fine. Keep it. Keep every room exactly the way it is. That is the first sensible thing you've said, Evelyn replied. He walked away without slamming a door. Somehow that felt worse. The 3 of them ate separately. Nathan took a bowl of cereal to his office. Leah warmed soup and carried it to her workroom. Evelyn made toast and sat behind the privacy divider because the kitchen seemed to belong to whatever silence Nathan had installed there. Her knee throbbed. When she rolled up her pant leg, the skin looked puffy along the inside. She pressed 2 fingers there and hissed. The next morning, she called June. I'm not your nurse, June said. I didn't ask you to be. You described swelling before saying hello. Hello, that fixes it. June told her to ice the knee, rest it, and make an appointment with her doctor if the swelling did not ease. Then she added, and stop carrying things upstairs. I was carrying them down a hallway. Was the hallway uphill? It felt like it. Use ice. Evelyn found a bag of frozen peas in Nathan's freezer and sat at the island with it wrapped in a dish towel. Leah came in wearing her robe and stopped. Are those my peas? I'll replace them. I don't care about the peas. What happened? Nothing happened. My knee is expressing an opinion. About the stairs? About being 70. Leah made coffee. Nathan is going to use this as evidence. Then don't call him as a witness. At 9, Luis arrived at the apartment with a lumber rack strapped to his truck. The second railing was not elegant. It was plain oak, smooth beneath Evelyn's palm, and anchored firmly into the wall. Pretty comes later, he said. Safe is pretty. That sounds like something people put on a pillow. While Luis installed the rail, a roofer named Paul climbed onto the rear section of the building. He came down with photographs on his phone. Cracked sealant around old flashing, a lifted edge near the gutter. No major rot visible from above. You caught it before another winter, Paul said. Was the bedroom stained from this? Could be. Could be old. I can reseal the flashing and replace the damaged edge. If we open it and find more, I call before I do more. Evelyn appreciated a man who understood that a price required consent. His estimate was not small, but it did not force her to abandon the bathroom. She signed the work order and paid a deposit. Nathan came through the alley as Paul was fastening a ladder to his van. "What's he doing here?" he asked, looking at the roof. "You hired him?" "I hired him to repair the flashing." "You should have talked to me first." Evelyn handed the invoice back to Paul. "Why?" "It's the store building. It's my building." Paul examined his ladder straps with great concentration. Nathan lowered his voice. "I manage it. You manage the grocery, I deal with maintenance." "Then why didn't you know whether the roof was leaking?" His eyes sharpened. "Because I'm busy keeping the business alive." Paul climbed into his van. "I'll call about scheduling, Mrs. Mercer." "Thank you." Nathan waited until the van had left. "You enjoy doing that in front of people? Hiring roofers? Making me look incompetent?" "I asked you about the stain. You didn't remember who repaired it. It was repaired. It needs repairing again. That happens to roofs. Yes. Which is why I called a roofer." They stood in the alley beside a stack of flattened produce boxes. Nathan looked exhausted. There was a grayness beneath his eyes Evelyn had not noticed in the house. "I can't move everything in 28 days, he said. "You haven't moved anything yet? I'm trying to find space. The storage place has space. I told you why that won't work. You told me it's inconvenient." For the store, inconvenience costs money. Evelyn almost answered that convenience had cost her a bedroom. The line appeared so neatly that she distrusted it. Real arguments were rarely improved by the sentence one most wanted to deliver. "Keep daily supplies downstairs," she said. "Store seasonal items off-site. Take your personal things home. We're at home. You have an office. It's full. Then you have an opportunity to make a list." Nathan stared at her, then laughed despite himself. It lasted only a second, but she saw the boy again. "You've been saving that," he said. "I just thought of it." Liar. The warmth vanished as quickly as it had come. Nathan rubbed the back of his neck. "I need you Thursday." "For what?" "Rosa has a specialist appointment. Mark's receiving dairy." "What hours?" 10 to 4. Put me on payroll for 6 hours. His hand dropped. "Seriously?" "Yes." "You're an owner. Of the building. You own the business. It's a family business. Families can issue paychecks. Dad never paid you for every hour. Your father shared a bank account and a bed with me. You are offering neither, thank God." Nathan made a strangled sound that might have been horror. "So that's a yes?" she asked. "I can't believe we're discussing this." "Thursday, 10 to 4, 6 hours. "Fine. At what rate?" He named one. "Mark earns $2 more. Mark supervises. Then he can cover the register." Nathan raised it by $1. Evelyn held out her hand. "Done." He looked at it as if she were mocking him, but shook. On Thursday, she worked exactly 6 hours. Nathan clocked her in himself, making a ceremony of tapping the screen. Evelyn rang sales, reconciled a supplier credit, and corrected an inventory entry that had made the store appear to possess 400 jars of capers. At 4, a customer reached the register with a full basket. Mark glanced at the clock. "I can take her." Nathan was unloading yogurt near dairy. He looked toward Evelyn but said nothing. She finished the customer's order and clocked out at 4:07. "You owe me 7 minutes, she told Nathan. "I'll put it toward the refrigerator." "That is not how debt works." A woman laughed behind the flower display outside. Evelyn turned and recognized Marisol Vega from the neighboring stall. Marisol was 51, with black curls tied in a scarf patterned with oranges. Her husband, Ben, was carrying buckets of cut hydrangeas from their van. "I heard about the apartment," Marisol said. Nathan, still crouched beside the yogurt, closed his eyes. "From whom?" Evelyn asked. "Luis. Luis needs additional employment. He says you need window boxes. I need plumbing. Plants are plumbing for the soul." Ben set down a bucket. "She's been waiting 3 years to say that." "I need window boxes," Evelyn decided. Nathan stood. "Can everybody stop decorating an apartment that is currently full of my business?" Marisol looked at him. "Are you selling the boxes?" "No." "Then they aren't decoration." She walked Evelyn outside to show her 2 narrow galvanized planters that would fit the front sill. Ben followed with the weary loyalty of a man accustomed to carrying whatever his wife admired. Their stall occupied the recessed storefront beside Mercer's grocery. Marisol arranged flowers. Ben handled deliveries and built wooden displays. They had eaten at Evelyn's house several times when Frank was alive. usually after arriving to repair something and being trapped by dinner. Luis says the floors are bad, Ben said. One section. I've got leftover oak from a job. Not enough for a whole room. I don't need a whole room. Nathan came outside. Please don't give her construction materials. Ben raised both hands. I was offering wood, not explosives. I'm not asking anybody for free work, Evelyn said. I didn't say free, Ben replied. Marisol's wanted that old wire flower rack in your basement since Christmas. It belongs to the grocery, Nathan said. It belonged to my father before it belonged to the grocery, Evelyn said. It holds potatoes. It was designed for flowers. It holds potatoes extremely well. Marisol patted his arm. Everything holds potatoes, if you lack imagination. Evelyn agreed to trade the rack only if Nathan found another display. He refused on principle, then spent the next hour measuring a wooden stand in a supply catalog. At the house that evening, Evelyn found 3 grocery cartons stacked outside the den. Each was marked Nathan, home in thick black marker. Inside, he was removing cables from the upstairs apartment boxes and coiling them at the kitchen table. Leah sat across from him, repairing a pleated shade. They were not speaking, but the silence was different from the punishing quiet of earlier. It had work inside it. Evelyn set down her purse. Where are these going? My office? Do they fit? No. He wrapped a cord too tightly around his palm. I'll figure it out. Leah glanced at Evelyn, then back at her stitching. Nathan pointed toward a 4th box beside the pantry. That one's yours. Evelyn opened it. Inside were 2 chipped mixing bowls, her father's old wall clock, and a ceramic rooster her mother had kept above the kitchen sink. She had assumed they were lost years ago. I found them behind the gift basket supplies, Nathan said. The clock doesn't work. It never kept good time. Then why did Grandpa have it? He liked the rooster. Nathan looked at the ceramic bird. It's ugly. It has character. It has one eye bigger than the other. So did your grandfather. Leah lowered her lampshade to hide a smile. Evelyn touched the clock's faded face. Thank you. Nathan nodded, already reaching for another cable. By the end of the week, he had moved 11 personal boxes home. The grocery cartons remained upstairs. Luis repaired the toilet valve and removed the dead bathroom fan. Paul scheduled the roof work. Evelyn made an appointment for her knee, replaced Leah's peas, and ordered nothing for the apartment that was not on her list. On Sunday afternoon, she climbed the new railed stairs, carrying 1 folding chair and a travel mug of coffee. She positioned the chair by the open bedroom window, facing the narrow patch of floor she had cleared. Below, Nathan and Mark rolled a cart of produce through the alley. Nathan glanced up and saw her. He did not wave. Evelyn lifted her coffee anyway. For the first time since selling the house, she sat inside a room with a door she could close. It did not matter that she had to leave it open because of the boxes. The door was there, waiting. Nathan disappeared beneath the awning, then reappeared a minute later, carrying a paper sack. He climbed the stairs and stopped in the bedroom doorway. What are you doing? Sitting. I can see that. Then why did you ask? He held out the sack. Inside was a turkey sandwich from the deli and a bruised pear. You didn't eat lunch. How do you know? You didn't come downstairs. That is not the same thing. It usually is with you. Evelyn accepted the sack. The sandwich had mustard, but no mayonnaise, exactly as she preferred. Nathan leaned against a stack of cartons, looking around at the narrow, cleared path. You shouldn't sit up here alone if your knee's bothering you. Those are unrelated activities. What if you fall? I could fall in your den. There's carpet. So, I'd fall softly. He did not smile. I'm serious. So am I. I made a doctor's appointment. When? Tuesday. I'll take you. I can drive. I know you can drive. Then why would you take me? Nathan opened his mouth, closed it, and looked out the window. Because I'm your son. The answer was so simple that it disarmed her. All right, she said. You can take me. He nodded, still facing the window. In the alley, Mark flattened boxes with heavy stamps of his shoes. What if you use just this room? Nathan asked. We clear the bedroom and bathroom. You'd have your own space. The store keeps the front room and kitchen. Evelyn unwrapped the sandwich. Where would I cook? You eat with us. Every meal? Or downstairs. There's prepared food. I don't want deli soup 7 nights a week. You like our soup. I also like a wall between my bedroom and gift baskets. You'd have the hallway. Nathan, it's a compromise. A compromise would be you asking to rent 1 room after I move in. This is you offering me part of my apartment. He pushed away from the cartons. Forget it. Thank you for the sandwich. He hesitated at the door, his anger complicated by the fact that she meant it. "You're welcome," he said, and went downstairs. On Tuesday, he drove her to the doctor in the grocery van because his car was packed with boxes. The van smelled of coffee grounds and oranges. A small ceramic sheep from a local dairy was glued to the dashboard, nodding whenever Nathan braked. "You need new shocks," Evelyn said. "You need a new knee." "The doctor hasn't said that. The van has a better suspension than your right leg." Dr. Kaplan examined the swelling, took images, and pronounced the joint arthritic but not yet ruined. He recommended physical therapy, a supportive brace for heavy activity, and fewer unnecessary trips up and down stairs. Nathan looked vindicated. "What counts as unnecessary?" Evelyn asked. "Carrying boxes when somebody else can carry them." Nathan nodded harder. Dr. Kaplan added, "But using stairs carefully is not forbidden. Strength matters. Movement matters." Evelyn looked vindicated. In the parking lot, Nathan opened the passenger door for her with exaggerated courtesy. "You heard the part about not carrying boxes. You heard the part about movement. I heard arthritis. I heard not ruined." They stopped for coffee on the way back. Nathan bought cinnamon cake and divided it with a plastic knife at a corner table. For 10 minutes, they talked about nothing important. Mark's dislike of the new yogurt supplier, Leah's habit of leaving pins in strange places, the ceramic sheep's missing left ear. Evelyn almost let herself believe the argument had softened. Then Nathan said, "If the doctor had told you the stairs were unsafe, would you have changed your mind?" "Yes." He looked surprised. "I'm stubborn," she said. "I'm not stupid. I don't think you're stupid. You sometimes think I'm old in whatever way helps your argument. That's not fair. Neither is pretending concern gives you a vote." Nathan broke off a corner of cake and crushed it between his fingers. "I watched Dad get sick in pieces. Every week there was something else he couldn't do. Then you tell me everything was under control. It was as controlled as it could be. I never knew how bad anything was until it was worse." Evelyn looked at the crumbs between his fingers. "So, when you say your knee is your business," he continued, "I hear the same thing. That's not what I meant. It's what you always mean." The coffee shop suddenly seemed too bright. A machine hissed behind the counter. "Your father asked me not to tell you every detail," she said. "He didn't want every conversation to become a report about his body. And you agreed. He was my husband. He was my father. I know. Do you?" The question landed between them, with the old grief still inside it. Evelyn folded the plastic knife into her napkin. He hated being watched. I hated not knowing. He was frightened. So was I. She wanted to defend Frank, then herself. Instead, she reached across the table and opened Nathan's fist so he would stop grinding cake into his palm. "I should have told you more," she said. Nathan stared at their hands. "That doesn't make the stairs safer." "No, it makes your fear less ridiculous." "I didn't say it was ridiculous. I did." He laughed under his breath, unwillingly. At the house, he helped fit the brace around her knee. He tightened one strap too much, loosened it, and asked 3 times whether it pinched. Then his phone rang, and the grocery reclaimed him. The next morning, Luis was scheduled to open the warped section of floor. Evelyn arrived to find the exterior wall still blocked by cartons. "Can you work around them?" she asked. Luis looked offended. "Can you cook around a cow?" "I probably could. I cannot work around these." She called Nathan. He did not answer. She called again. "What?" he said, breathless. "The boxes are still against the wall. I told Mark to move them." "Mark says you told him not to touch upstairs stock without you?" "That was before." "Before what?" "Before today." "That is not a useful unit of time. I'm unloading dairy. Give me 20 minutes. He arrived in 32. Luis charged for the waiting time, which Nathan called extortion, until Evelyn reminded him she was paying. Nathan and Mark carried cartons downstairs. Mark balanced 2 at a time. Nathan insisted on 3, and nearly lost the top one on the stairs. "Use the rail," Evelyn said. "I have hands full of the reason we need the rail." They filled half the stockroom aisle. Employees began stepping sideways around cases of labels and empty gift tins. Mark moved the daily paper supplies beneath the desk and put seasonal items near the back door. Nathan watched his careful upstairs system become an untidy downstairs wall. "This is exactly what I said would happen," he told Evelyn. "What?" "There's nowhere for it. This is temporary." "You like that word now?" Luis looked up from his pry bar. "If you two want the floor open today, Argue downstairs. Nathan went downstairs. Beneath the warped boards, the subfloor showed old staining, but no soft rot. Luis tapped, probed, and declared it ugly but sound. June arrived with sandwiches at noon and found Evelyn sitting in the folding chair while Luis worked. "You've turned this into an office," June said. "It has one chair. That's how offices begin. Then somebody brings a printer and no one is happy again." She handed Evelyn egg salad and gave Luis ham. "I don't like ham," he said. "You ate the turkey yesterday. I bought the turkey. Then you had your turn." June wandered into the kitchen, opened cabinets, and made a face at the peeling shelf paper. "Paint these. Don't replace them." "That's the plan," Evelyn said. "What color?" "I don't know. Blue." "Why?" "My apartment is yellow." "You shouldn't compete." Luis called from the bedroom. "Nobody is competing with your apartment. That's because I chose correctly." Nathan appeared at the top of the stairs, carrying 2 flattened cartons. He took in the sandwiches, the open floor, and June discussing cabinet colors as though she had been invited to a party. "Are we feeding the whole neighborhood now?" he asked. "I brought one for you," June said. His expression softened a fraction. "What kind?" "Ham. I like ham." Luis muttered something in Spanish. Nathan ate standing by the window. No one mentioned the argument until June and Luis left. Then he walked through the apartment, counting cleared sections. "I rented the storage unit," he said. Evelyn turned. "The one on Foster?" "Yes." 3 months. After that, I don't know. "Thank you." "Don't thank me. I'm doing it because the alternative is leaving boxes in my kitchen and ending my marriage." Leah said that. Not in those words. What words did she use? "I'm not telling you." He picked up a loose shipping label and rolled it between his fingers. "I'm also moving the online packing downstairs," he said. "We'll lose one produce display and the office." "Mark thinks we can make it work." "That sounds sensible. It sounds expensive." "What do you want me to say?" "That you understand what you're asking." "I do understand." "No, you understand square footage. You don't understand what happens when customers can't find things, when staff lose time, when orders go out late. If online sales drop, I can't just pull $18,000 from a house sale." Evelyn heard the accusation beneath the number. "You asked for the refrigerator money, and you said yes." "I did. Now, every time we argue, you put it on the table. I have not asked for it back. You don't have to. It sits there. That is your guilt, Nathan. I didn't bring it upstairs." He flung the rolled label onto the table. "Maybe I should move the whole store." The words emptied the room. Evelyn looked toward the window, down at the green awning bearing her father's name. "Where?" she asked. "There are cheaper buildings farther east, loading docks, parking. You've always said this corner is why the grocery survives. Maybe surviving on this corner costs too much." He seemed frightened by his own suggestion, but he did not withdraw it. "If you decide to move your business," Evelyn said carefully, "that will be your decision. You'd let Dad's store close? Your grandfather's store closed when you changed it. Frank's store closed when he died. This is yours." Nathan's eyes flashed. "That's convenient. It's painful." He walked out. A few minutes later, Evelyn heard him downstairs directing Mark to move the first load into the rented unit. His voice was sharp and efficient. She went into the bedroom. Luis had removed 4 damaged boards, leaving a clean rectangular opening near the wall. Through it, the solid old beams were visible. Not ruined, she thought. She sat on the edge of the folding chair, one hand around her braced knee, and listened as her son carried his business out of her home. The first load left at 4:20. Evelyn watched the van turn out of the alley, with Nathan at the wheel and Mark bracing a hand against the passenger side window because the door rattled. After that, movement came in bursts. Nathan would ignore the apartment for 2 days, then arrive with tape, markers, and the urgency of a man evacuating before a flood. He separated daily supplies from seasonal stock. He discovered 12 cartons of paper wine bags he had forgotten ordering, and an entire case of cinnamon candles Leah had refused to keep at home because they made her eyes water. "Why does a grocery need candles?" Evelyn asked. "Gift baskets. Why do gift baskets need to smell like a bakery fire? People buy them, do they?" Nathan checked the sales figures on his phone and did not answer. The stockroom downstairs became the packing area. Mark moved the desk against a wall and ran an extension cord from the office. The first online order assembled there included the wrong crackers. The second went out without coffee. On Friday, a customer came in holding a basket wrapped in cellophane and announced that the decorative jam inside had expired. It wasn't decorative, Nathan said. It had a ribbon on it. It was edible, not anymore. Evelyn was buying milk near the dairy case and watched him issue a refund. He caught her looking. "Don't," he said. "I didn't say anything. Your face did. My face is buying milk. You have a refund face too." The customer left. Nathan carried the expired jar toward the stockroom. "How old was it?" Evelyn asked. He kept walking, not discussing it. At home, his boxes multiplied in the hallway. Leah taped a line across the floor outside her workroom and wrote "No storage beyond this point" on a sheet of paper. Nathan read it while eating cold pizza. "Is this necessary?" "Yes. You're making the hallway look ridiculous. The hallway is full of grocery equipment and one ceramic sheet mold. That mold was promotional? For what? Cheese." Leah looked at Evelyn. "Do you see what I live with?" Evelyn stirred sugar into her tea. "I raised what you live with." Nathan pointed his pizza at both of them. "This alliance is getting hostile." "It isn't an alliance," Leah said. "It's two women who know a hallway is not a warehouse." Nathan bit the pizza and went to his office. The door remained open, which Evelyn took as progress. The apartment changed more visibly. Paul repaired the flashing on a clear morning, then showed Evelyn photographs of the sealed edge before he accepted final payment. Luis replaced the damaged floorboards with oak Ben had saved from another job. The new boards were lighter than the old ones, but Ben promised they would settle into the room. Or the room will settle into them, he said. That sounded wiser in my head. Marisol claimed the wire flour rack after Nathan found a used produce stand for less than he expected. She and Ben rolled the rack out of the basement together, stopping twice to argue over which of them was steering. In exchange, Ben refused payment for the wood. "That was not the agreement," Evelyn said. "The wood was going to sit in my garage until I died. You could have sold it. I could sell half the things in my garage. Then what would I complain about?" Marisol called from the alley. "He needs his inventory." Ben lowered his voice. "You take the wood. I keep my marriage." Evelyn paid him for his labor and let the lumber remain a gift. Her physical therapist gave her 3 exercises involving a rubber band and 1 involving a chair. June came to the first appointment because Nathan had a supplier meeting and insisted someone should hear the instructions. "You don't trust me to remember?" Evelyn asked. "I don't trust anybody to do exercises without a witness," June said. "People lie to physical therapists like they lie to dentists." Afterward, June drove them to a salvage store to look for bathroom fixtures. Leah met them there with fabric samples in her purse. Though no one had asked for fabric, the store occupied an old warehouse filled with sinks, doors, cabinet pulls, and chandeliers hanging from the rafters like upside-down metal gardens. June immediately found a blue pedestal sink she loved for a bathroom she had no intention of renovating. "It's impractical," Evelyn said. "It's beautiful. It has no storage. I have too much storage. That's how you end up with 7 bottles of lotion." Leah wandered toward a row of tile. "What about this?" She held up a square of cream ceramic bordered in muted blue. Evelyn thought of the blue tiles her mother had chosen, most of them still intact above the apartment sink. "For the shower?" Leah asked. "It might match the kitchen." "Not exactly." "I don't want exactly." Leah studied her, then nodded. "Good." They found enough discontinued tile for the shower, at less than half the cost of new. Evelyn bought it after counting the boxes twice. June found 2 brushed nickel grab bars and announced that they looked less medical than the others. "They're still grab bars," Evelyn said. "So is every towel rack if you make one bad decision." At the checkout, Leah touched Evelyn's sleeve. "Nathan thinks you're moving because you don't trust us." "I don't trust his definition of temporary. He thinks that means him. It does mean him." Leah absorbed the answer. Evelyn added, "It doesn't mean you. That might be worse." "Why?" "Because he'll say I helped. You did help. I bought tile. You told me the truth about the room." Leah looked toward June, who was arguing with the cashier about whether both grab bars had been scanned. "I should have told you earlier," Leah said, "before the house closed." "Yes. I kept thinking he would fix it. So did I." There was no easy forgiveness in that, but there was companionship. When Evelyn returned to the grocery, Nathan met her at the alley door with a binder tucked under his arm. "I need an hour," he said. "Hello to you too." "Hello." "I need an hour." "Paid?" He gave her a look. "Paid." Upstairs, the folding table had been cleared of labels and tape. Nathan spread his printouts across it. Sales, labor, online fees, delivery costs. His columns were neat until the final page, where several totals had been crossed out and rewritten. The gift baskets don't make sense, he said. They smell bad. The numbers. Evelyn sat. What do you want me to do? Check my labor estimate. Mark says each order takes 12 minutes. I think he's including time he spends complaining. Complaining is part of his compensation. Nathan almost smiled. They worked through the figures. He had counted packing time, but not the hours spent receiving, sorting, and retrieving supplies. He had included the wholesale cost of products, but not damaged goods or substitutions. The baskets made money during the holidays and lost it most other months. That can't be right, he said. Why not? Online sales increased 14%. Sales are not profit. I know that. Then stop admiring the wrong number. Nathan leaned back and looked toward the bedroom, where only 6 grocery cartons remained. I built that whole operation. Yes. I thought it was the future. It might be part of the future. What part? Holiday orders, larger baskets, local delivery fees that reflect local delivery. Customers hate fees. Customers dislike expired jam more. He rubbed his eyes. If I cut the small baskets, we'll lose volume. You'll also lose some work that costs more than it earns. Mark has been saying that. Mark is often right in an unpleasant voice. You trained him. You hired him. Nathan gathered the pages, but left them in a loose stack. You like this? Numbers? The store. Evelyn looked around the dusty apartment. Through the floor came the muted roll of a shopping cart. I used to, she said. Used to? I liked working with your grandfather. I liked working with Frank. I even liked working with you some days. That isn't the same as wanting my life to be the store. Nathan tapped the edge of the binder against the table. You never said that. You never asked. You were always here. That's not an answer. It looked like one. He put the printouts into the binder and carried them downstairs. The next afternoon, the storage facility delivered Evelyn's kitchen table. Dale and another employee maneuvered it through the front room after Nathan moved the remaining cartons against the wall. You can't leave it here while Luis is working, Nathan said. It's going in the kitchen. The kitchen isn't cleared. It will be. He looked at the table. Recognition moved across his face when he saw the white crescent on its surface. I thought you sold that. I changed my mind. Grandma used to make noodles on it, and your grandfather used to complain that they were too thick. They were too thick. He ate 3 bowls. Nathan ran his thumb across a shallow cut in the wood. Are you refinishing it? Cleaning it. Tightening the legs. You should sand this out. Your grandmother wouldn't let Frank sand it. She's not here. The mark is. Nathan stepped back as the delivery men carried the table into the kitchen. He did not offer to help, perhaps because helping would feel like approval. But when one of the men nearly struck the blue border tile with a table leg, Nathan lunged forward and caught it. Watch the wall, he snapped. The man apologized. Nathan held the table steady until it was safely down. That evening, Evelyn found the old rooster clock on the TV tray beside Frank's photograph. The hands were moving. She carried it into the kitchen, where Nathan was rinsing a coffee mug. You fixed it. New battery movement. The old one was corroded. I thought you had invoices. I did. She turned the clock over. He had replaced the cracked hanging wire, too. Thank you. Nathan shrugged. It still runs 3 minutes slow. It always did. Then why fix it? Evelyn smiled. You liked the rooster. I absolutely did not. He took his mug upstairs. The next morning, Evelyn hung the clock above the apartment sink. The mismatched eyes stared down at the scarred table, the salvaged tile, and the last 6 cartons of Nathan's business. At noon, he came up for the first carton. By 5, the kitchen was empty except for the things Evelyn had chosen to bring back. Evelyn washed the kitchen ceiling before anyone painted it. Luis found her on a stepladder, with a sponge in one hand and the new railing within reach. What did the doctor say about this? He said not to carry boxes. He should have made a longer list. The ceiling is not a box. You will be if you fall off that ladder. June, who was lining the cabinets with fresh paper, looked up. A box is useful. Evelyn climbed down. I invited neither of you to critique me. You gave us keys, June said. That's stronger than an invitation. They painted the cabinets a soft blue-gray that made the old brass handles look intentional. Leah repaired 2 of the yellowed curtains rather than replacing them, preserving the tiny embroidered leaves Evelyn's mother had sewn along the edges. Marisol installed narrow window boxes and filled them with rosemary, trailing thyme, and red geraniums. Flowers would be prettier, she admitted. But you'll forget to water flowers. I won't forget. You forgot the basil every summer. Frank watered the basil. Frank drowned the basil. The shower cost more than planned. When Luis removed the old tub, he found a corroded valve inside the wall. Nothing catastrophic, just another $400 tucked behind tile where no one could admire it. Evelyn crossed new kitchen counters off her list. You hate those counters, Leah said. They function. They're beige. Beige is not a structural defect. No, but it is an emotional one. Evelyn kept them. She bought a comfortable mattress, a plain metal bed frame, and a second-hand dresser with drawers that opened smoothly. The dresser had scratches along one side, which would face the wall. At Nathan's house, the 30-day calendar lived everywhere without being displayed. Evelyn knew how many mornings remained because she counted the outfits still hanging in the coat closet. Nathan knew because boxes left his office in batches and returned from the storage unit, smelling faintly of concrete. The groceries packing station began to settle into its downstairs corner. Nathan stopped offering the smallest gift baskets and added a delivery fee. 3 customers complained. One of them ordered anyway. He told Evelyn none of this directly. She learned from Mark, who pretended he was not reporting. He cut the cinnamon candles too, Mark said while stacking soup. A mercy. They sold. To people without noses. Mark leaned closer. The numbers are better. Tell Nathan. I did. He said it was 1 week. He's right. You could tell him that. He already knows. Mark shook his head. This family charges too much for conversation. On the final evening in the den, Evelyn folded the yellow throw and placed it on the sofa. The privacy divider still stood across the room, though no one had used the washing machine while she slept in weeks. Nathan had begun leaving his laundry in a basket in the upstairs hall, rather than risk starting an argument with a rinse cycle. Leah sat on the floor helping pack Evelyn's clothes. Most of them fit in 2 suitcases. This is depressing, Leah said. It's efficient. You owned more clothes. I gave away what I didn't wear. You gave away the green dress. The zipper stuck. It looked good on you. It looked good while I stood very still and didn't breathe. Leah placed a sweater in the suitcase. I'm making you a lampshade. I don't need a lampshade. That has never stopped anyone in this house. Nathan passed the open door, saw them packing, and continued to the kitchen. A moment later, a cabinet opened. Leah lowered her voice. He wants you to ask him to help. He knows when I'm moving. He wants to be asked. So did I. Leah sat back on her heels. That's fair. It isn't meant to be fair. It's meant to be true. After Leah left, Evelyn took the cedar box from beneath the sofa. She placed Frank's photograph on top and carried both to the kitchen. Nathan stood at the sink eating peanut butter from a spoon. I'm taking these upstairs tonight, she said. His gaze rested on the photograph. I can carry them tomorrow. They're light. I didn't say they were heavy. I can carry them. He put the spoon in the sink. The mattress comes at 10? Between 10 and noon. Luis finished the shower? Yes. And the hot water works? Yes. The back door downstairs sticks. I enter through the front. If you come in late, the alley's closer. I'm not planning to come in late. You should still have the option. Evelyn waited. Do you want to help tomorrow? Nathan wiped his hands on a towel. I open at 6. Then no. I didn't say no. You said your schedule. I can come up when the delivery arrives. You don't have to. He laughed without humor. You finally ask, then tell me I don't have to. I'm trying not to trap you. You never worried about that before. She lifted the cedar box. Good night, Nathan. Leah appeared at the foot of the stairs with her car keys. I'll carry the picture. The apartment smelled of paint, sawdust, and the lemon oil Evelyn had rubbed into the old table. They placed the cedar box in the bedroom closet and Frank's photograph on the scarred table. Leah stood beneath the rooster clock. It looks like he's watching us, she said. He's always watched badly. One eye is on the kitchen, the other is on Cleveland. Your grandfather considered Cleveland suspicious. The joke faded. Leah touched the picture frame. I'm sorry, she said. You've said that. I'm still sorry, I know. I don't want you to think I'm glad you're leaving. I don't. I'm a little glad the lampshade bins are safe. So am I. Leah hugged her in the kitchen. Evelyn felt the sharp bones of her shoulders and realized how often Leah made herself narrow inside Nathan's moods. The next morning, the bed delivery arrived at 10:18. Evelyn stood on the sidewalk, directing the truck toward the alley, when Nathan came out of the grocery. He had flour on his sleeve from unpacking bread. "They can't get a mattress up the back stairs," he said. "It's rolled." "What?" The delivery man opened the truck to reveal a long, compressed mattress wrapped in plastic. "That can't be good for it," Nathan said. "It expands." "To what? A mattress?" He followed them upstairs. The bedroom was empty except for the dresser, one lamp, and the cedar box in the closet. Sunlight crossed the repaired floorboards. The delivery men assembled the frame against the inner wall and lifted the compressed mattress onto it. Nathan stood beside the window, arms folded. When the plastic was cut, the mattress unfurled with a soft, startling rush. One corner rose, then another. The room filled with the shape of a real bed. Nathan's face changed. Evelyn had seen the same expression when Frank's hospital bed was delivered to their house. Anger directed at an object for making a truth visible. "You really did it," he said. The delivery men glanced at each other. "Where do you want the headboard?" one asked. "There isn't one," Evelyn said. "Just center it." Nathan waited until they left. The bedroom door remained open behind him. "You could still change your mind. The bed is here. Beds can move. So can boxes." He flinched. Evelyn did not want this argument in the bedroom. She wanted the first words spoken over her new bed to be ordinary. "Which side do you want the lamp on? Did we buy the right sheets?" Instead, Nathan stood between her and the doorway, as if the room had accused him. "You've made your point," he said. "This is not a point. What would you call it? A place to sleep. You had a place to sleep. I had a folding sofa beside the washing machine, for 1 month, because I set a deadline. We were going to build the wall. I didn't want the wall. No, you wanted this." He gestured toward the room. "You wanted to prove you had somewhere else to go." Evelyn looked at him carefully. "Did you think I didn't? I thought you came to be with us." "I did." "Then why are you choosing an empty apartment over your family?" There it was, the wound Nathan preferred to describe as hers. "I am choosing a home where no one has to be persuaded I belong. You belonged in our house. Where? We offered you Leah's room, after she had to lose it. We offered to remodel, after you knew I was leaving. What else was I supposed to do? Prepare before I arrived." Nathan turned toward the window. Below them, the grocery door chimed as someone entered. "I kept thinking you'd change the closing date," he said. "Why?" "I don't know." "That isn't true." He gripped the sill. "Because everything was happening too fast. My house was on the market for 4 months. "I know. Frank had been gone more than a year. I know that. Then what was fast?" Nathan's shoulders lifted with a breath. "You coming here made it permanent." "What? Dad being gone. The house gone. You in my house, needing things." He turned back. "I didn't know what you were going to need, so you made sure I couldn't ask for much." "That's not what I did. You gave me no dresser and 6 hangers. I was scared, Mom." "So was I." "You still had a bedroom." His eyes shone. He looked away before the tears could become something either of them had to address. "I thought you'd help at the store," he said. Evelyn felt the sentence settle into the room. "I know. I didn't mean every day. How many? I don't know. A few? And cook? Sometimes? Keep the house from feeling empty while you and Leah worked? That sounds ugly when you say it. It felt ugly when I realized it." Nathan stepped around the bed. "You make everything sound like a transaction now. Because calling it family allowed you to leave the price off." He stared at her. The grocery door chimed again below. "Congratulations," he said softly. "You got your room." He walked out. Evelyn sat on the edge of the expanding mattress. The plastic crackled beneath her. She had imagined this moment as relief, but relief arrived mixed with grief so sharp she had to press both feet into the floor. A minute later, Nathan returned. He did not look at her. He crossed to the bedroom door, tested the knob, then tightened the loose screws in the strike plate with a screwdriver from his pocket. "It wasn't closing right," he said. He shut the door once, opened it, and left again. By evening, Leah had brought sheets and the lampshade she made from pale green linen. June arrived with chicken, Marisol brought bread, and Ben carried up 2 chairs no one remembered asking for. Luis inspected the shower valve, as if dinner depended on it. Nathan did not come upstairs. After everyone left, Evelyn locked her front door and stood in the quiet apartment. The refrigerator hummed, pipes clicked. Somewhere below, a cart rolled across the grocery floor. She slept badly. The new mattress was too firm. The delivery trucks began before dawn, and at 2:13 she woke reaching toward the side of the bed where Frank should have been. In the morning, she made coffee in her own kitchen. The rooster clock said 6:21, which meant it was 6:24. Evelyn opened the window above the sink. Nathan was in the alley unloading bread alone. He looked up. For a second, neither of them moved. Then Evelyn raised her mug. Nathan lifted one hand, not quite a wave, and returned to work. The apartment had different hours than the house below it. At 5:30, the bakery vent released the first warm breath of the day. At 6, delivery trucks backed into the alley with polite electronic beeps that became less polite after the 20th repetition. At 7, Mercer's front gate rattled upward. Nathan coughed twice every morning when he lifted it. A small inherited cough that sounded exactly like Frank clearing his throat before answering the telephone. Evelyn learned all this from bed. She also learned that the bedroom radiator hissed like an offended ant. The shower took 40 seconds to warm, and the window over the sink stuck unless she lifted the left corner first. None of these discoveries felt like defeat. They felt like introductions. She unpacked slowly. Frank's letters went in the top dresser drawer, his watch beside them. His photograph moved from the kitchen table to the bedroom nightstand after she caught herself apologizing to it while burning toast. By the third morning, she had 2 plates, 4 mugs, 1 saucepan, and nowhere comfortable to sit except the folding chair. June arrived at 9 with a newspaper full of furniture listings. She used her key. Evelyn was standing in the kitchen in her robe when June walked in carrying coffee. "You cannot do that." June froze. "Do what?" "Enter without knocking. You gave me a key. For painting and contractors. I brought coffee. That does not make you a contractor." June set the cups on the table. "You're right." The apology came without defense. Evelyn had prepared 3 more sentences and found she did not need them. "I should have knocked," June said. "Do you want the key back?" "No, I want you to knock. I can do that. Even if you see me through the window. That seems excessive." "June, I'll knock." She stepped into the hall, closed the door, and knocked. Evelyn waited long enough to be irritating, then opened it. "Good morning," June said. "Good morning." They drank coffee while circling listings for small sofas. Most were too large, too ugly, or described as gently loved, which June said meant someone's cat had owned it. They found a blue chair and a compact brown sofa at an estate resale warehouse. The chair's arms were worn in the places hands naturally rested. Evelyn sat, stood, sat again, and checked whether her knee could manage the height. "It's not glamorous," June said. "I don't need glamorous. You said that about beige counters. I kept the counters. And now you glare at them while making coffee." Evelyn bought the chair and sofa. Delivery cost almost as much as the chair, but she paid it rather than call Nathan. When the furniture arrived, Ben helped angle the sofa through the doorway. Marisol directed from the landing, telling both men they were rotating the wrong way. "There is only one way," Ben said through clenched teeth. "There is your way, and the way that avoids the wall." The sofa avoided the wall by less than an inch. Evelyn placed the blue chair near the front window and the folding chair in the pantry. That evening, she sat with her feet up and listened to the grocery close below her. For the first time, the quiet afterward did not feel borrowed. Nathan did not come upstairs. He sent text messages when he needed practical information. "Do you know who repairs the Hobart slicer? Did Dad ever order direct from Bellini Foods? Where are the old tax folders from 2018? Evelyn answered the first 2. To the third, she wrote, "Which business hired the accountant in 2018? 3 dots appeared, vanished, then appeared again. Never mind, found them. Leah visited with a bundle of mail and a basket containing towels Evelyn had left in the coat closet. He stands under your window sometimes," Leah said. "No, he doesn't. He does in the alley. He pretends to check deliveries. He does check deliveries, not while looking straight up." Evelyn folded a towel. "How is he?" "Awful. That covers several possibilities. He's tired, defensive. He keeps reorganizing the stockroom at night, and then Mark puts everything back in the morning. Mark has to use it. I know. Nathan knows too. He just wants the boxes to obey him. And you?" Leah looked around the apartment before answering. "The house feels better." Evelyn's hands stopped. "Not because you're gone," Leah said quickly. "Because we had the argument we should have had months ago. Maybe years ago. I told him I'm done letting him turn every room into overflow for whatever scares him. What did he say? That the grocery doesn't scare him. He lied, very badly. Leah sat on the sofa. He toured a building on the east side. Evelyn placed the towel in a drawer. For the store? It has a loading dock, so I hear. And parking. So do cemeteries. Leah gave her a look. He hasn't decided anything. It's his decision. You keep saying that as if it doesn't hurt. It hurts. It is still his. He wants you to tell him not to go. He wanted me to tell him not to clear the apartment too. Leah leaned forward. Do I what? Want the store to stay? Evelyn looked toward the floor. Beneath it, faint through wood and plaster, a crate scraped across tile. Yes, she said, I want it to stay. That doesn't mean I'll buy that outcome with my life. On Friday, Nathan texted a complete request. Rosa is out Monday, 10 to 4, 6 paid hours at the rate we agreed. Are you available? Evelyn read it twice before answering yes. When she arrived Monday, Mark handed her a printed schedule with her name on it. Beside the time clock was an envelope containing her pay for the earlier shift and the hour she had spent reviewing the gift basket figures. You paid me for the full hour, she told Nathan. You worked the full hour. You spent part of it arguing. So did you. He was checking a delivery invoice and did not look up. The store was changing. The flower display had moved closer to the entrance. Online orders occupied one corner of the stockroom instead of an entire upstairs apartment. A printed menu offered 3 gift baskets rather than 12. Nathan had raised the delivery fee by $2 and removed the smallest order size. Any complaints? Evelyn asked. 17. Cancellations? 3. New orders? 21. His pen paused over the invoice. It's 1 week. So you said. He looked at her then. The ghost of an old teamwork passed between them and vanished before either could name it. At lunch, Mrs. Pasternak approached the register with rye bread and onions. You moved upstairs, she said. News travels. Marisol travels. News follows. Mrs. Pasternak examined Evelyn's face. Your son looks terrible. He needs sleep. He needs sense. That too. Are you fighting? We are learning. At his age, some people take longer. Mrs. Pasternak nodded toward Nathan, who was helping a customer choose olive oil. His father was the same. Good man, very slow learner. Frank would have objected to being discussed in past tense and then agreed with her. At 4, Evelyn clocked out. Nathan was standing beside the time clock. You don't have to watch me, she said. I'm not? You are physically watching me. I wanted to ask if you can review the monthly numbers. When? Thursday. How long? 2 hours, paid. His expression barely changed. Yes, I'm available after 11. Fine. She waited. Nathan glanced toward the front. What? Nothing? That was an efficient conversation. Don't make it strange. I wouldn't dream of it. On Wednesday, Evelyn invited people to supper. The invitation began with June, who had brought a jar of pasta sauce and criticized the saucepan. Marisol overheard from the alley and volunteered bread. Ben said he would come if no one asked him to hang anything. Luis said he would come if June was not cooking. Leah helped Evelyn set the scarred table. With both leaves raised, it filled most of the kitchen. How many plates do you own? Leah asked. 4. There are 7 people. June is bringing 3. Do they match? Nothing matches. Your mother's philosophy. My mother's budget. Evelyn wrote Nathan a text, deleted it, then walked downstairs. He was in the office with the door open, studying a spreadsheet. I'm having supper at 7, she said. Okay, you're invited. He kept his eyes on the screen. Who's coming? Leah, June, Luis, Marisol, and Ben. The committee. They do not have officers yet. I've got inventory. It will still be here tomorrow. That's the problem. Evelyn rested her hand on the doorframe. 7 o'clock, I heard you. At 7:10, Nathan had not come. They ate chicken baked with lemons and onions, salad from the grocery, and bread Marisol claimed was free because Nathan had overordered. June told a story about Luis attempting to repair her ceiling fan and knocking out power to half her apartment. It was wired wrong, Luis said. You wired it. Previously. Leah laughed until she had to put down her fork. The table rocked slightly under Ben's elbow. Evelyn folded a paper napkin and pushed it beneath one leg. The white crescent remained visible between the serving dishes. Her mother's thick noodles would have fit perfectly in the mismatched bowls. At 8, Marisol cut pie. At 8:20, the grocery gate rattled shut. No footsteps came up the stairs. Evelyn wrapped a plate in foil and put it in the refrigerator. She told herself it was for tomorrow. By 9, everyone had left except Leah. She stood at the door with her coat over one arm. I can tell him he missed a good dinner. He knows what dinner is. Leah kissed her cheek. Thank you for inviting him. He didn't come. You still invited him. After Leah left, Evelyn cleared the table and washed the borrowed plates. She had just turned off the kitchen light when someone knocked. Nathan stood in the hall. The fact that he had knocked did something painful to her throat. You're late, she said. I know. Everyone left. I know that too. He held up a paper grocery bag. You're out of coffee. Evelyn stepped aside. Nathan entered carefully, as if the apartment belonged to someone whose rules he did not yet know. He noticed the blue chair, the repaired curtains, the green lampshade. His gaze moved to the table. I saved you a plate, Evelyn said. I ate downstairs. Did you? No. She reheated the chicken. Nathan sat where his grandfather used to sit and ate with the concentration of a man who had forgotten food could arrive on a plate instead of in a wrapper. The table still rocks, he said. It always did. I can fix it, Ben offered. I know how. Evelyn passed him another piece of bread. All right. He finished everything, carried his plate to the sink, and washed it without being asked. At the door, he stopped. The East Side building smells like tires, he said. That sounds unpleasant for a grocery. The loading dock is good. So you said. The foot traffic's terrible. Evelyn waited. I'm not moving, Nathan said. Not now. Relief moved through her, warm and unwanted because she did not want him to see how much the store's staying mattered. All right. He opened the door, then looked back at the apartment. Thursday at 11? For the numbers? He nodded. I'll be downstairs. Nathan stepped into the hall. Before leaving, he closed the door gently enough that the rooster clock remained steady on the wall. On Thursday, Nathan had the monthly figures printed before Evelyn arrived. He had also brought 2 coffees upstairs, one with sugar and one without. He set the unsweetened cup in front of himself, took a drink, made a face, and switched them. You've been making coffee for 30 years, Evelyn said. I was thinking, that is generally when mistakes happen. They worked at the scarred table. The smaller gift basket menu had reduced sales volume, as Nathan predicted, but labor costs had fallen more. Fewer substitutions meant fewer refunds. The new delivery fee covered gas for the first time in months. Nathan traced the totals with his finger. It could be seasonal. Everything in a grocery is seasonal, not mustard. People grill in summer, salt, winter roads, toilet paper, panic. He sat back. So, you think the cuts worked. I think the first month improved. That is not what I asked. It's the answer the numbers give. He tapped his pen against the table, then wrote a note in the margin. Mark wants to eliminate custom baskets except during holidays. Mark is right. I knew you'd say that. Then why did you ask? I wanted you to be wrong together. Evelyn smiled. Nathan did too, though he looked down quickly. When they finished, he carried the coffee cups to the sink. There's one file box downstairs that needs to stay dry. No, you don't know what's in it. I know it belongs to the store. It's tax records. I don't want them in the stockroom. Put them in your office. There's no room. Storage unit. I don't want sensitive records in a storage unit. Buy a locking cabinet. That takes space. Evelyn waited for the argument to gather itself. Nathan stood with both hands braced on the counter. It's one box. Yes. It would fit in the pantry. Yes. You wouldn't even see it. I would know it was there. He looked toward the pantry. His mouth tightened. Then he exhaled. Fine. The word held no slammed door, no accusation. Evelyn watched him gather the papers. Thank you. I'm not happy about it. You don't have to be happy to respect an answer. He glanced at her. Is that written on one of June's pillows? She'll make it now. Nathan took the file box home and ordered a locking cabinet that afternoon. The first heavy rain came 2 nights later. Water struck the bedroom windows and ran in wavering lines across the glass. Evelyn woke at 1 and turned on the lamp. She checked the repaired ceiling, pressed her palm to the wall, then went to the kitchen to inspect beneath the sink. Everything was dry. She made tea and sat in the blue chair listening to the weather. Frank had loved storms when he was safely inside. He would turn off the television and stand at the window, narrating lightning as if it required his commentary. That one hit near Mason. No, that was farther west. You can tell by the sound. He could not tell by the sound, but Evelyn had never corrected him. The apartment no longer felt empty. It felt occupied by one person, which was different. Yet, in the hour before dawn, the difference narrowed. She missed Frank with a bodily impatience, as if he were late and she had every right to demand an explanation. The next morning would have been his 73rd birthday. Evelyn had remembered all week without acknowledging it. She found herself downstairs at 10, standing before the bakery case while Mark arranged slices of chocolate cake. "You want the whole one?" he asked. "No. You've been looking at it 6 minutes. I'm considering the slices. The whole one costs less per slice. I don't want 8 slices. Nathan does. That is not a recommendation." Mark set down the tongs. Frank liked chocolate. He liked frosting. The cake was transportation. Nathan came from the stockroom carrying the locked file cabinet's instruction booklet. "You remembered," he said. Evelyn looked at him. "Of course I remembered. I meant the cake. I haven't bought it." Nathan took a whole cake from the case and placed it on the counter. "We can't eat that," Evelyn said. "We know people." He closed the case and wrote something on the bakery sheet. At 7, he asked. Evelyn had not planned dinner. She had planned to behave as though the day were ordinary until it became one. "Upstairs," she said, "unless you want to come to the house." She heard the care in the offer, and also its vagueness. The house still had no room prepared for her, but dinner did not require one. "Upstairs," she said. Nathan arrived at 7 with Leah, the cake, and a small toolbox. He went directly to the table, crouched beneath it, and examined the legs. "You're doing this now?" Evelyn asked. "I said I'd fix it." "You also brought cake. The cake doesn't require tools." Leah took plates from the cabinet. "He has been talking about this table for 3 days. "The joint's loose," Nathan said from the floor. "You haven't looked at it. I remember." He removed an old screw, inserted a slightly larger one, and added a thin wooden shim. When he stood, he pressed both hands to the table and rocked it. Nothing moved. "There," he said. Evelyn tested it. "Your grandfather would be disappointed." "Why?" "He blamed the uneven floor for 40 years. They ate corned beef sandwiches because Frank considered them appropriate for every celebration." Leah lit one candle in the center of the cake, then hesitated. "Do we sing?" she asked. "No," Nathan and Evelyn said together. They laughed, and the laugh broke the day open. Nathan cut the cake. The first slice collapsed because he made it too large. "Your father always did that," Evelyn said. "He wanted the corner. It's round. He still wanted the corner." Afterward, Leah washed plates while Evelyn wrapped leftover cake for June and Luis. Nathan stood at the window over the sink. "I hated the hospital bed," he said. Leah's hands slowed in the dishwater. Evelyn knew which bed he meant. The rental company had delivered it 4 months before Frank died. Gray rails, plastic mattress, wheels that locked with orange tabs. Nathan had refused to enter the former dining room for the first hour after it arrived. "I know," Evelyn said. "When your mattress opened up in that room, it sounded the same. I didn't notice." "I did." Leah dried her hands. "I'm going to take cake downstairs to Mark. The store's closed," Nathan said. "He'll eat it tomorrow." She carried the wrapped slices out, leaving them alone. Nathan remained at the window. "I know it's not the same." "No? You moving out wasn't dying." "No, but it felt like another thing was ending before I understood the first one." Evelyn leaned against the counter. "The house had already ended for me. I know that now." "You knew it then." "You didn't want to look." He nodded. Rainwater still clung to the geranium leaves outside. Nathan touched one through the open window. "I thought, if you were at our house, everything would be in one place," he said. "You. The store. Dad's things. I wouldn't have to keep wondering what happened next. So you put me beside the washing machine." "It sounds insane when you say it like that." "It was insane before I said it." He smiled, but grief pulled it crooked. Evelyn wanted an apology. She could feel the empty shape of it in the room. Nathan was circling the truth, touching every edge without stepping inside. She did not drag him there. Instead, she cut 2 more pieces of cake. The building expenses arrived the following week. Insurance had increased. The roof repair and bathroom work had taken more from Evelyn's account than she liked. She spread the statements across the table and calculated what the grocery paid downstairs compared with similar storefronts nearby. Frank had set the rent low when Nathan took over. Evelyn had left it unchanged through bad winters, equipment failures, and every prediction that next year would be easier. The difference was large enough to matter. She did not enjoy this set of numbers. Nathan came upstairs for their scheduled bookkeeping session and found 3 columns written on a yellow pad. "What's that?" he asked. "The building." His posture changed before he read anything. "I'm not raising the rent because I moved upstairs," Evelyn said. "That sentence usually comes before somebody raises the rent. I'm telling you what the building costs and what you pay. I know what I pay. Do you know what insurance costs now?" He studied the statements. "No." "Do you know what commercial rent is on Laurel?" "No." "Then sit down." He sat. Evelyn showed him taxes, insurance, routine maintenance, and the reserve Frank had once kept for repairs. The grocery rent covered expenses but contributed almost nothing to the upstairs apartment or Evelyn's retirement. She had been subsidizing the store so long that both of them treated the arrangement as weather. "You're charging me market?" Nathan asked. "No." "You couldn't absorb that at once." "Then what?" "A phased increase beginning in January, smaller than market, reviewed yearly." Nathan stared at the yellow pad. "The new delivery fees just started working." "I know. I rented storage because of you. You rented space for your business. This feels like punishment. It feels like accounting." Same face. Evelyn almost smiled. "I'm not asking for an answer today. What happens if I say no? That depends on what you propose instead. You could afford to leave it. I could afford to give away a little of my income. I have been doing that. We're family? Yes." He stood and paced to the window. "You've changed. I hope so." "That wasn't a compliment. I know." He turned. "Dad never would have done this. Your father was already discussing a rent increase before he got sick." Nathan's eyes narrowed. "He never told me. He didn't decide." "I'm not using a dead man to win an argument." "Then why mention it?" "Because you just used him." The words stopped him. Evelyn gathered the insurance statements into a stack. "Read the numbers. Bring me a proposal. We'll decide what is fair to the building and survivable for the business. And if those are different, they usually are." Nathan took the yellow pad downstairs. For 3 days, he did not mention it. He did, however, arrive at Sunday supper on time, carrying wine and a bag of onions Mrs. Pasternak had rejected for being too round. June inspected the newly steady table. "You fixed it?" she asked Nathan. "Yes. It's less interesting." "That's what Mom said. It had personality. It had a loose joint. Most personalities do." Nathan sat between Leah and Luis. He argued with Ben about whether the old wire rack looked better with flowers than potatoes. Marisol announced the answer was obvious. Evelyn watched her table hold 7 plates, mismatched glasses, a wine bottle, 2 baskets of bread, and no hidden napkin beneath one leg. After dinner, Nathan helped dry dishes. "I'll bring a rent proposal. Thursday," he said. "All right, and a schedule for the store. 1 register shift a week, 2 bookkeeping hours. Paid." "That sounds reasonable." "You can say no." Evelyn handed him another plate. "I know." Nathan dried it carefully. At the door, he paused as he had the week before. "I don't know how to do this," he said. "Rent, be your son when you don't need me to take care of you." Evelyn looked at him. "You never took care of me." His face tightened. "Not because you failed," she added. "Because I didn't let you. And because most of the time, I didn't need it. Then what am I supposed to do? Want to know me when nothing is broken?" Nathan glanced at the screwdriver still lying near the repaired table. "That sounds harder," he said. "It probably is." He nodded, opened the door, and then remembered to take the leftover cake Evelyn had wrapped for him. Nathan's rent proposal arrived in a blue folder with a cover page. Evelyn read the title aloud. Sustainable Occupancy Plan. It's a working title. It sounds like a government project. I wanted it to be clear. You wanted it to look expensive. Nathan removed the cover page. Beneath it, he had listed the grocery's average monthly sales, fixed costs, payroll, storage, and the rent increases he believed the business could absorb over 18 months. His first proposed increase was lower than Evelyn's. His second was higher. "Why the jump here?" she asked. "By then, the holiday changes should give us better data. If the gift basket margin holds, we can do it. And if it doesn't, we review." She turned the page. You included repayment for the refrigerator. That's separate. I know it's separate. Why is it here? Because I need to stop pretending separate means invisible. The sentence sounded practiced, but not insincere. Nathan proposed a small automatic payment each month, with larger payments during profitable quarters. Evelyn crossed out the larger payments. You can't promise money you haven't earned. You gave me $18,600. I remember. At this rate, I'll be 80 before it's paid. At the rate you wrote, you'll miss payroll in February. I'll cut something, not wages. Then what? That is why you don't promise imaginary quarters. He frowned at the page. I'm trying to make it fair. Fair cannot depend on you never having a bad month. Then you'll be subsidizing me longer. I made that choice when I wrote the check. I can also choose a payment that doesn't damage the thing it was meant to save. They settled on a steady amount Nathan disliked because it was possible. The downstairs rent would rise in 2 stages, with the second reviewed after a year. Evelyn would continue paying for structural repairs. The grocery would cover damage caused by its operations and its own utilities. None of this was revolutionary. Most landlords and tenants would have put it in writing years earlier. For them, putting it in writing meant admitting that love had not eliminated money. It had merely allowed both of them to avoid discussing it. Nathan initialed the changes. You're sure about the second increase? Evelyn asked. I proposed it. You proposed a larger refrigerator payment too. That was before you attacked my imaginary quarters. They had no defense. He closed the folder. If the store can't afford reasonable rent, then I need to know. Yes? And if it can, then you'll pay it. You enjoy this part. I enjoy arithmetic. You enjoy winning. I raised you. I learned to take small pleasures where I could. He laughed, and this time neither of them looked away. The new work arrangement proved harder than the folder. Evelyn took 1 register shift on Mondays and reviewed the books for 2 hours on Thursday. On her first Monday under the schedule, Rosa called out before lunch. Nathan came to the register with his phone in one hand and an apron in the other. Can you stay until 6? No. He stopped. You're leaving at 4? Yes. Mark has to receive the butcher order. I have physical therapy at 4:30. Can you reschedule? No. The old Nathan would have asked again in a different tone. This Nathan looked toward the growing line, then tied the apron around his own waist. Fine. It isn't fine, I know. Go to therapy. He took over at 4 without another word. Evelyn spent the entire appointment thinking about the line. Her therapist asked why she was kicking the rubber band harder than necessary. When she left, she drove back to the grocery. Nathan was still at the register. The line was gone. Mark stocked the meat case. No emergency had matured in her absence. Nathan spotted her through the front window and came outside. What happened? He asked. Nothing. Did therapy go badly? No. Then why are you back? Evelyn held up 2 coffees. I thought you might want one. His suspicion softened. You came back to bring coffee? Yes. Are you working? No. He took the cup. This one has sugar? I marked the lid. He inspected the black X. You could have done that last time. You could have tasted yours before leaving the table. They stood beneath the faded awning, drinking coffee while pedestrians moved along Laurel. For 10 minutes, Evelyn did not enter the store. Nathan did not ask her to. The geraniums in her window boxes thickened. Marisol pinched back the blooms whenever she passed, sometimes without permission. But she always shouted up first. June knocked so loudly that Evelyn threatened to revoke the rule just to protect the door. Luis replaced the rattling radiator valve and accepted a container of soup in partial payment, only after writing the full labor charge on his invoice. Sunday suppers became regular, without becoming formal. Whoever came brought something. Whoever could not come did not owe an explanation. Some weeks Nathan arrived late, but he arrived. He and Ben argued about baseball. Leah began leaving her phone in her purse. Mark came once, ate 3 servings, and spent the evening correcting everyone's account of the groceries' history. The apartment held them all, though barely. After everyone left, it held only Evelyn. That remained the difficult part. Chosen company did not cancel chosen solitude. It gave solitude edges. On some nights, Evelyn loved the quiet so much she turned off the radio to hear it better. On others, the closing gate downstairs sounded like the last door in the world. One Wednesday, she heated soup and ate half of it standing at the counter. Rain pressed against the windows. June was visiting cousins out of state. Leah had an order deadline. Nathan had not texted since Monday. Evelyn picked up her phone, put it down, then picked it up again. Nathan answered on the fourth ring. What's wrong? Nothing. A pause. Are you hurt? No. Is something leaking? No. Did the power go out? Nathan. What? I called to talk. The silence became almost comical. About what? He asked. I haven't decided. Are you sure nothing's wrong? I can hang up. No, don't. Another pause. I'm sorting invoices. That sounds thrilling. It's raining. I noticed. Mark ordered too many avocados. How many? 6 cases. Evelyn took her soup to the table. What is his plan? He says a cafe wants them. Does a cafe know that? I haven't reached that point in the investigation. They talked for 20 minutes about avocados, a broken umbrella Leah refused to throw away, and whether the bakery's new rye was better than the old one. None of it needed solving. Before they hung up, Nathan said, "You can call when there's nothing wrong." I just did. Again. All right. The following week, Leah invited Evelyn to dinner at the house. It was the first time Evelyn had returned since moving. Her old coffee maker still sat in the pantry. The coat closet looked larger without her clothes. The privacy divider had disappeared from the den, and the sofa was folded beneath the football blanket that used to cover it. On the TV tray, the place where Frank's photograph had stood, was marked by a clean, pale rectangle in the dust. Evelyn ran her finger along the edge. Leah came behind her carrying napkins. I haven't dusted, I see that. I thought removing the screen would feel good. It feels like the den. Is that bad? No, it was always a den. Nathan called from the kitchen. I heard that. You were meant to, Leah answered. They ate meatloaf at the dining table. Nathan had cooked it himself and put in too much Worcestershire sauce. It tastes like a British dock, Leah said. What does that taste like? This. Evelyn ate a second helping. After dinner, Nathan asked her to look at the office door, which no longer closed. She followed him upstairs and found the hallway crowded with 3 boxes, the treadmill folded against the wall, and his desk turned sideways. You're reorganizing again, she said. I'm reducing. What's the difference? Reducing involves throwing things away. A black trash bag sat near the stairs, filled with obsolete cables and old trade magazines. The shipping supplies had moved to one shelf. His computers occupied a smaller desk. A paint card lay on the windowsill, pale cream. Evelyn picked it up. What's this? Leah wants to repaint. Which room? Nathan took the card from her. We haven't decided. Leah appeared in the doorway. He hasn't decided. Nathan gave her a look. What? Leah said. We haven't. Evelyn did not ask. If they were thinking of making space, she would not stand in the hallway and audition for it. Nathan managed to close the office door by lifting it slightly. Humidity, he said. The top hinge is loose. I knew that. You asked me to look. I asked you because Dad used to fix doors. I was married to him, not inhabited by him. Nathan's hand remained on the knob. I know, he said. The words were quiet enough that Evelyn could not tell whether they belonged to the door or something larger. They went downstairs for coffee. Leah mentioned that a hotel near the river was offering holiday packages. Nathan immediately said Evelyn would not need a hotel. I didn't say she did, Leah replied. You were talking about rooms. I was talking about a lampshade conference. Oh, Leah looked at Evelyn. It's in December. 2 days. That sounds useful? Nathan opened a cabinet, closed it, then opened another. If Mom ever needs to stay here, we'll have space. Evelyn watched him search for mugs in the kitchen he had lived in for 8 years. When? She asked. When what? When will you have space? We're working on it. What does that mean? The office can be smaller. Is that what the paint card is for? Nathan found the mugs. I was going to surprise you. With another emergency wall? No. His face tightened. With a bedroom? Leah leaned against the counter. Evelyn waited, but Nathan busied himself with the coffee machine. For me? She asked. For guests? All guests? Yes. Then that's good. He looked disappointed. That's all? What would you like me to say? I don't know. That it matters. It matters. It doesn't sound like it. Evelyn lowered her voice. A room prepared after I left cannot erase the room you didn't prepare before I came. I know that. Do you? I'm trying to fix it. There are things a screwdriver can't fix, Nathan. His eyes flicked toward Leah, then back. What do you want from me? The question had been following them for months. Evelyn could have said she wanted the invitation rewritten, the humiliation removed, Frank alive, her old house waiting. None was available. I want you to stop calling every repair an apology, she said. Nathan went still. I fixed the clock because it was broken, he said. I know. The table was broken. I know that too. I rented storage. I changed the store. I agreed to rent. Yes. What else am I supposed to do? Say what you did. I've said I should have cleared a room. No, you've said you thought I wouldn't come. You were afraid. You expected me to help. You didn't understand. Those are explanations. They're true. I believe you. Then why isn't that enough? Because the truth about why you hurt someone is not the same as being sorry you hurt them. The coffee machine clicked off. No one reached for it. Nathan looked at her as if she had removed the last place he could hide. For one moment, Evelyn thought he would answer. Instead, he said, I need some air. He walked through the kitchen and out the back door. Leah did not follow him. Evelyn picked up her purse. I should go. I'm sorry, Leah said. This one isn't yours. I know. Outside, Nathan stood at the far end of the yard with his back to the house. Evelyn could have crossed the grass. She could have made the conversation easier, as she had made so many things easier. She went to her car. At the apartment, she climbed the stairs slowly, unlocked her door, and turned on the pale green lamp. Frank's watch waited in the dresser. The rooster clock watched the kitchen badly. The table stood steady beneath her hand. Evelyn sat in the blue chair and let the silence remain uncomfortable. This time, she did not call Nathan to rescue either of them from it. The next morning, Nathan did not look up when he raised the grocery gate. Evelyn watched from the kitchen window until the metal stopped rattling. Then she watered the geraniums, performed the exercises with the rubber band, and made herself eat breakfast before going downstairs. She was not scheduled. She did not invent a reason to enter the store. At 11, Leah called. He came home, she said. I assumed he would. He slept in the den. Why? I don't know. Maybe he was trying to make a statement. He'll need stronger language. Leah was quiet. He asked me if you were right. What did you say? That it wasn't my apology. Evelyn smiled despite the heaviness in her chest. Good. I also said yes. That part was unnecessary. It felt necessary at the time. They talked about Leah's December conference, a broken zipper on a lampshade case, and whether the leftover meatloaf was safe. Neither mentioned Nathan again. On Monday, Evelyn reported for her shift at 10. Nathan had printed the schedule and placed it beside the time clock. Her name appeared only where they had agreed. Morning, he said. Morning. He looked tired, not dramatically ruined, just poorly shaved and more interested than usual in rearranging pens on the counter. Rose is here, he said. I can see her. So you won't have to stay. I wasn't planning to, I know. Mark carried a crate of avocados past them. The cafe took 4 cases. What happened to the other 2? Evelyn asked. Samples. Nathan closed his eyes. We are not discussing avocado samples. The shift passed without incident. At 4, Evelyn clocked out, tied her apron, and placed it beneath the register. Nathan was waiting near the door. I need to talk to you, he said. I have therapy at 4:30. I know, not now. He put his hands in his pockets. After closing, if you're home, I'll be home. Can I come up? Yes. He nodded. No flowers, no repair parts, no coffee appeared in his hands. Evelyn took that as a promising sign. At 8:14, he knocked. She opened the door and found him holding the blue rent folder. I brought the signed copy, he said. Evelyn stepped aside. Nathan entered and placed the folder on the kitchen table. He remained standing. The grocery had closed an hour earlier, but he still wore his green apron. A dark smear of produce ink marked one wrist. You can sit, Evelyn said. I don't think I should. That sounds ominous. It isn't. He pulled out a chair, then sat on its edge. Evelyn sat across from him. For several seconds, Nathan looked at the white crescent in the tabletop. I knew you were coming, he said. Evelyn waited. I knew the closing date. I knew what rooms we had. Leah asked me about it, and I kept saying there was time because I didn't want to give up my office or tell her to move her work. I thought once you arrived, you'd accept whatever we had. His fingers tightened around the edge of the chair. Not because I thought you'd like it, because you usually accept things when refusing would cause trouble. The rooster clock ticked 3 minutes behind them. I invited you into my house and left you a folding sofa beside the laundry, Nathan continued. You had sold your home. You had nowhere else ready. I knew that too. Evelyn felt the old humiliation return, but differently. In his mouth, it was no longer a misunderstanding she had to prove. I expected you to help at the store, he said. I expected meals. I expected you to make the house easier. I told myself you liked being useful, which was convenient because then I didn't have to ask if any of it was what you wanted. He looked up. When you objected, I acted like you were ungrateful. When you chose the apartment, I said you were hurting the business. I tried to move Leah out of her room instead of admitting I had done this. Then I blamed Dad dying, and the store, and being scared. Those things were true, Evelyn said. They were. They're also not an apology. His voice caught on the final word. He cleared his throat, producing Frank's small inherited cough. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry I made you feel like there was no place for you except where you could work. I'm sorry I treated your apartment as mine and your time as free. You should have had a bedroom ready before your first suitcase came through the door. You shouldn't have had to reclaim one from me. Evelyn looked down at her hands. She had wanted the words. Wanting them had not prepared her to receive them. They did not undo the first night, but they reached it. They sat beside the folded sofa, the 6 hangers, and the cedar box kicked beneath the frame. They named what had happened without asking her to make it smaller. Nathan waited. Thank you, she said. His face tightened. That sounds formal. It is important. I don't know how else to hold it yet. Okay, I accept your apology. He released a breath. I am still angry. I know. I may remember this at inconvenient times. You remember everything at inconvenient times. That is part of my charm. A weak laugh escaped him. Evelyn reached across the table and placed her hand over his. I also taught you that I was fine by refusing to say when I wasn't. I confused being needed with being loved, then resented everyone for needing me. That doesn't excuse what I did. No. He studied her. Was that an apology? It was an explanation. Nathan laughed properly then, wiping at his eyes with his free hand. Fair, he said. He turned his palm beneath hers and held on. After a while, Evelyn opened the blue folder. Nathan had signed the rent schedule and the refrigerator repayment plan they agreed upon. Beneath his signature, he had added one handwritten sentence. Business use of upstairs apartment ended. You didn't have to write that, she said. I did for me. She closed the folder. There's something at the house I want you to see, he said. Not tonight. Whenever you want. What is it? A room. Evelyn gave him a long look. It's not an apology, he said quickly. That was the apology. Good. And it isn't finished. Then why would I look? Leah says I'll ruin it if I keep choosing things without another adult. Leah is an adult. She says she has chosen enough. Evelyn agreed to go Wednesday. Nathan met her at the house after work. The hallway upstairs was clear. His treadmill was gone, the old trade magazines had been recycled, and his office door opened without needing to be lifted. The room beyond it no longer held an office. The walls were pale cream. A queen bed stood beneath the window with a blue quilt folded across it. There was a dresser, a reading lamp, and an empty closet with 12 wooden hangers. On the nightstand sat a small digital clock that kept the correct time. Evelyn entered slowly. You moved your office, she said, to the den. Beside the laundry? Nathan shrugged. I get up early. Leah leaned against the hallway wall, smiling. The treadmill? Evelyn asked. Sold it. You used it 4 times. I used it 6 times. Over how many years? That is not relevant. Evelyn opened the closet. The hangers slid quietly along the wooden bar. Nathan remained near the door. It's for guests, but it's yours whenever you want it. If the weather's bad, if you're sick, if you just don't want to climb the stairs. You don't have to ask Leah to move anything. You don't have to fold a bed in the morning. I'm not moving back. I know. I mean it. So do I. Evelyn looked around the room. It did not compete with the apartment. That was what made it generous. It was not a trap disguised as comfort or an attempt to reverse her choice. It was simply space made before she needed it. What does the room need? Nathan asked. Curtains. Leah groaned. I knew she'd say that. You asked. I did not, Leah said. He did. Nathan looked pleased. What kind? Not yellow. Leah brought 3 fabric books from her workroom. They sat on the bed, choosing among stripes, leaves, and patterns Nathan described as aggressively floral. Evelyn chose a soft blue print. Leah measured the window. Nathan wrote down the curtain rod width as though being trusted with it required documentation. Before Evelyn left, he gave her a key to the house. "You always had one," he said. "I returned it, I know." She took the key. "This is for visiting." "Yes." "And emergencies." "Yes." "It does not mean you can store anything upstairs." Nathan held up both hands. "Different building, same habit." He smiled. "I heard you." The grocery entered winter smaller than Nathan had once imagined and steadier than it had been. Custom baskets remained a holiday service. The storage unit stayed because the downstairs packing area worked better without seasonal merchandise stacked over everyone's heads. Nathan paid the first increased rent on time and complained only once, which Evelyn considered restraint. Her refrigerator payment arrived each month in the agreed amount. She deposited it without praising him. Evelyn worked Mondays and kept the books on Thursdays. If Rosa called out, Nathan asked whether she was available and believed her answer. Sometimes Evelyn stayed because she wanted to. Sometimes she left at 4 and returned later with coffee. Her knee grew stronger, though it still objected to damp weather. She used both rails on the stairs and let other people carry heavy things. None of this made her feel old until June congratulated her for being sensible, which made Evelyn want to do something reckless out of principle. Leah attended her December conference and stayed overnight at the hotel. Evelyn spent that night in the new guest room because freezing rain had turned the apartment steps slick. She slept beneath the blue quilt, woke before Nathan, and made coffee in his kitchen. When he found her at the island, he looked startled and then quietly happy. "Bed okay?" he asked, a little soft. "I can change the mattress." "No." "Curtains? Good. Clock? Annoyingly accurate." He poured coffee and sat beside her without bringing up the grocery. By spring, the apartment's new floorboards had darkened enough to blend with the old oak. The beige counters remained beige. The rosemary survived. The geraniums did not, which Marisol blamed on Evelyn, despite having chosen them. Sunday supper continued around the steady table. One evening, June brought lasagna. Luis brought wine. Marisol brought flowers from the rack that had once held potatoes. And Ben brought nothing because he had been told not to work. Leah arrived carrying a new lampshade for the blue chair. Mark came directly from the store with 2 grocery bags. Nathan came last. He knocked although the door was open. Evelyn stood at the kitchen table, setting out mismatched plates. "You can come in." Nathan lifted a loaf of bread. "I brought rent." "Bread is not rent. It's in the envelope under the bread." "Then lead with that." He entered and placed both on the counter. He did not ask what needed fixing. He did not check the windows or test the table. He kissed his mother's cheek and poured June a glass of wine. The apartment filled with voices, chairs scraping, the smell of tomato and warm bread. Outside the kitchen window, the old gold lettering on the grocery caught the last light. Below, the store was closed for the night, its work finished. Evelyn took her place at the table. Nathan reached for the bread, then stopped. "Mom? What? Is there room?" She looked around at Leah moving her chair, Luis lifting the wine bottle, Marisol making space beside the flowers. Then she looked at her son. "There is now," she said.